everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap. Today I am joined by Michael Huber.
Enjoying Dubai?
I don't know what I was going for.
You were saying
there.
enjoying our company and joined by, I think.
We were talking seconds before the show started about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And so I think I enjoy Game of Thrones and just had joy on the brain.
Love it.
And it slipped out. I'm also enjoined by Bradley Ellis.
Demon Souls. I just
Where's
thought
that
of that
remaster, dude? Where is it? Hook it up. Come on, From. Let's go.
No, I don't want a remaster. I want a remake if they're going to do it. Go all the way.
Remake for Demon
Souls.
Souls? That'd be a fun one to remake.
Entirely
Remake it.
playable in VR on the PlayStation 5 day one.
Yeah. Remake
These
it.
are my demands.
Remake it and have that really cool PvP boss, like, you twist it on its head. You do something that we're not expecting. What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah, if you're
here's what I
remaking
would
that
do.
game.
I would say that when you get to that point in the game,
Yeah.
you have to mail a letter to a P.O. box, okay? And they'll say, your challenger will be there in 3 days. And in 3 days' time, somebody will knock on your door and you have to fight them. And that is your boss
You
battle.
had Black World Tendency, I would make it so you fought 2 people instead of 1.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
That's a good touch. That's a good touch.
Yeah.
I'm going to be enjoining you through this. I'm Ben Moore. And Huber, last night, my girlfriend and I watched the Avengers Endgame trailer, which I'll not spoil. That's not why I'm bringing this up. But we were just kind of in awe of how good the Avengers theme is. Such a good theme. And so we just, we were just sitting there on the couch
Gets me
on
psyched.
YouTube listening to the Avengers theme,
Yeah.
just kind of marveling at how, I got like chills,
Yeah.
man. It's so good. And so Avengers has been on the brain. A lot of Avengers happening. Endgame next month. Captain Marvel just happened. So I've been thinking a lot about the Avengers. And I want to know not who your favorite Avenger is, but which Avenger do you identify the most with? Who do you see yourself in the most? Do you know, Brad?
No. I don't know. Like, I can't remember all of them.
I don't know. They're all so...
Brad, I know we make fun of Hawkeye, and so this is not an insult. I mean it as a compliment.
Oh, I like Hawkeye, though.
Yeah, I think you could be a good Hawkeye.
Hawkeye's
Like,
cool,
I can
man.
see it.
He's like, think of this. Everyone else has crazy superpowers and stuff. He's just got a bow. And he's doing just fine.
Yeah,
He's fragging.
yeah. And I think, dealing with us sometimes, like, you need that level-headed, but still able to throw around with the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a curveball in here.
Okay. What's the curve?
It's not an Avenger exactly.
Okay, yeah, we could.
Here we go. Let's go.
It's the intro. It's fast and loose.
Drax.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I was
yeah.
thinking. Because he's
Yeah.
out of his mind. Like the attention span.
Huber, I feel like I wouldn't have asked the question if it was. I wasn't even thinking about you and Drax, but yes,
Yeah.
of course it is. Of course it is. Okay, Huber, you nailed that. That was very good. Which Avenger do you think I most resemble?
Ben Moore?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You tell me, Marvel man.
I'm gonna say...
He's good at this, so I'm curious.
Because Bloodworth is Vision.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And
that's right.
Jones is Captain America.
Yep, that's accurate too.
For sure. So I'm gonna say Doctor Strange.
Huber, that's what I was hoping you were going to say.
Yep.
I'm glad you're on this show.
Well, who do you think I am then? We need the Huber opinions for everybody
we
then.
do. We do.
Brad? Dude, War Machine. Straight up.
War Machine.
Yep.
That I can
Good
see it.
backup.
I can see
Co-op
it.
buddy.
I love
Good
I love
spirits.
You know,
Mechs. Yep. Yep.
I could see Brad being a Winter Soldier as well.
Bucky Barnes.
Yeah,
I love
can
Bucky
see Brad
Barnes.
being a Winter
Barnes.
Soldier.
So sick.
Huber, I'm so glad you saw. You said Doctor Strange. I actually watched Doctor Strange for the first time last weekend, and like,
So good.
okay, here's. And I
It's
want
one of
to
the
get your
best.
opinion on this because I made a mistake. I thought the trailers for Doctor Strange were not good. I didn't like them. And I love trailers, and so I was putting a lot of faith in the trailers. I just thought the Doctor Strange trailers were not funny and seemed super generic, but I ended up really liking that movie. It was way better than the trailers led me to believe it was going to be.
I think it's just so fun because you have the first hour, which is like so grounded and just such a universal story, you know? Don't want to like spoil anything if you haven't seen Doctor Strange, but just the story of like, you know, you have a skill and you're really good at something, but it's taken away from you.
Right.
And then obviously the second half gets like more mystical and more superhero-y, but
run on buildings, man.
Yeah.
Just
love
it's pretty
that.
good. It's pretty good. And Huber, things kind of consume you in a good way. I mean that as a compliment. You know, you get really into things. You kind of let them wash over you. And what is washing over you right now is Tom Clancy's The Division 2.
Glad you threw the Tom Clancy's in there.
Yeah.
Shout out.
I was like, oh yeah, Tom Clancy.
Shout out. Tom Clancy.
Does that name still mean something to you?
In the loading screen, when
it's
they're
a specific vibe, for
when
sure.
they're like giving you a tooltip or something like that, they'll go out of their way to say, you know, make sure you do this or whatever. In Tom Clancy's The Division 2, like they'll
Trademark.
say the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, really?
Sid Meier style.
Do we have to do that? But yeah, you've been playing a lot of Division 2. I've actually
A
played
lot. I'm very tired.
a chunk of the Division 2 with you. I'm level 17, I think, and you're level 23.
23. Yeah.
So we've been playing it. What do you think?
I love this game. Love it.
Love it.
Love it.
What is warranting that love?
So many things, Ben. So many things that I love about this game. It's going to be really hard to kind of like lay this out here. There's a lot. This game is a behemoth. So I'm going to do my best.
Yeah.
Things I love, though. So I'm level 23 now.
Yeah.
And from level 1 to 23 has just been a joy because it's constantly introducing new enemies. Every single fight forces you to think and take cover and use tactics. So you can never really turn your brain off in this game unless you're in a safe house, which I love that feeling too. It's like, okay, I'm back at base. I'm in a safe house. Can just chill for a minute. But when you're out on the streets or when you're in a mission, it is high stakes. You will get taken out so easily. Just running through the street, couple enemies like patrolling, you're dead.
Yep.
Love that stuff.
Are there any penalties for death?
Just losing time. And then obviously when you're in the dark zone, if you die, you lose XP.
That's good.
And you lose your gear that you have picked up.
Something else that I like that I think just kind of enhances the like, oh man, I really got to be careful is when you're in a group and you go down, you can be revived, of course, but when you get revived, you're put into a weakened state.
Yeah.
And so if you go down again, your buddies don't have a chance to revive you. You've got to spawn away and then run back or whatever, or go back to a checkpoint.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So.
Really good balancing. You can tell they've just been tuning this for a while.
Yeah.
The only criticism, we'll get this out of the way.
Yeah.
Two major criticisms. Pop-in, which I bring up because I never care about nitpicking little things like this.
Should be said you're playing on PlayStation 4.
PS4 Pro, but it's really bad.
Yeah,
the pop-in.
it is.
It's
really
like really bad. So it's enough for me to bring it up for sure and like notice it all the time. And the skill balancing, I think, needs a lot of tweaking. Ben, we've been playing a lot together, which has been so awesome. I got some stories. But just some of the skills don't seem as useful as others. But I'm hoping once we get to the level 30 strongholds and the raid that there will be more use for those skills. But right now it seems like a couple of them are really, really good and a couple of them are not so good.
Yeah, it was interesting how we both kind of decided like, oh man,
The drone.
why would we never
turret.
use the drone?
Yeah.
This thing that does considerable damage and can just kind of go around cover
Kites
and can cover a
enemies.
huge distance. Yeah. For
sure.
yeah, you did contextualize that a little bit. One of the skills you can pop is this drone that you'll summon and you depending on how you spec it, and you can spec it in different ways. You can get one that deflects bullets. You can get one that does like a bombing run. But the basic one, the assault drone, will go around and shoot at enemies with a machine gun, and you can actually tag enemies. So if you see somebody that's behind cover, you can just be like, no, hey, go get that guy, and they'll go around the cover and hit him. And so yeah, it's very useful.
Yeah, and just more things I'm obsessed with, right? Okay, so we're level 1 to 23. Every fight is crazy, and the missions are hard. So now, this whole time, getting loot feels good. I'm level 1 to 23. Every time I equip a new piece of gear, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Feel the benefits. And then also like rebuilding your settlement. I love side missions where, you get an actual reward. You can go out and recruit people. They come back, unlocks a new thing. Like I just rescued a barber. I can
That's
cut
cool.
my hair and stuff.
Yeah,
That is cool.
It sounds like a simple and expected thing, but I really do think it is worth praising, where I feel like if I spend 2 hours in the Division 2, like I'm constantly improving in one area or another. And what I like is a lot of times it'll just be like, oh, this gives me more defense or does more damage, I'm going to equip that. But there have been a number of times where it's like, do I want the raw numbers, or do I want how this is going to modify my skills or some other aspect? And so, it's not like an intense decision every time, but I do like every once in a while that I'm considering about other factors as I'm upgrading. I think that's important.
Totally.
For sure.
Yep. Love the, just like the different skill modifications too. You can like spec for like critical and damage or defense or skill power, which makes your drone even crazier. I just fooled around and I did like maxed out skill power.
Yeah.
And the drone was like noticeably just like enemy down. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's cool that you're not just upgrading your character, you're not just equipping different pieces of armor and a new weapon, you're modding that weapon, you're modding your skills individually, you're attaching, like you were saying, attaching stuff to that drone. So that's cool. Yeah, there is a ton of stuff, and Huber, you said, and I agreed with you, that if you're just coming into this fresh, it may seem very overwhelming.
Honestly, a couple more tutorial missions could have gone a long way. They give you some Dark Zone tutorial missions that are great, and they give you like kind of the prologue, but the UI, there's a lot going on. Things will it'll give you a tutorial really quick and then disappear. The font is really small. So I joke in there somewhere. But yeah, it's a lot to get your head around, and it took me hours to kind of get comfortable.
Totally.
And figure it out. So.
I think that is a super fair point, and I imagine when people start playing, they'll have a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Something that I do like that they do is, so you're building up these settlements, and as you build up these settlements, you'll unlock new layers to them, and both your character and the world will kind of expand out every time you get a new element. So when you recruit somebody and they can do a new thing at your base, or you unlock a new feature, they will pop up with a window and being like, here's what this does.
Yeah.
And so while it is overwhelming, I was able to just work through it by playing.
Yes.
Like the more time I spent in the game, the more that things made sense.
Totally.
And so I do kind of think they've spread things out enough that you are able to do that. If you put in some effort, if you're paying attention, you'll get through just fine.
Yeah, like you do the side missions too. Like I rescued a beehive keeper. So I go back to the campus, and just on the bottom, like it doesn't give you a waypoint, so it does encourage you to explore. There are some problems with the main waypoints. It'll like lead you into a wall, but then there are other times where it's like, hey, go to this area, and then you have to figure out within the area kind of how to progress, and I love stuff like that. But when I rescued the beekeeper, it's like you get back to your base, and it's like check in with the new beekeeper, and like I'm walking around, and it like forces you to kind of live in that settlement for a minute, kind of like see where everything is, see where the person is. He'll like throw some dialogue at you. So I like that.
And it's so cool. I mean, the primary reason you're doing these side missions, right, is so you can get the experience, so you can get the things, to get more skills, to level up, to the basic thing. But it is nice. It adds just another element when it's like, oh, I did this, and this place that I'm supposed to protect is getting a little bit better, and they will allow me, if I want to go and see what's up with that.
Yeah. It's
not much. It's not this crazy interaction. It's not systems on top of systems on top of systems, but it does make it feel a little bit more personal, which I like.
The story has been a little slow.
Yeah.
Because I did really enjoy the Division 1 story, especially all the collectibles. I love the collectibles in this game. You can collect like artwork. You like see your artwork stash. I haven't seen the actual art you get, but there's like an artwork stash at a place, and they're like, hey, we're not animals. Like, thanks for salvaging this stuff. So everything has context, which is great. And all of the like radio calls and like dash cam footage, and there's like unlockable videos you can get. So there's a ton of lore. It just hasn't connected in a meaningful way yet. Like all these stories I'm getting of like some really heavy stuff. You know, there was one where like 2 division agents, like one turned on another one, or like people just trying to make it by in this crazy world.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get a lot of audio logs from the villains and the different factions that kind of flesh that out. But again, everything hasn't really tied together yet. So I'm hoping that happens.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything, and I haven't seen anything that's made me want to care about the story yet. I think the setup is as interesting as it's always been. But yeah, just like the Echo things where it's kind of reconstructing the scene, which is such a cool idea.
I love those.
Nothing has like really hit me super hard. But what I will say that I appreciate so much is with the main missions and the side missions, like they're having fun with them.
Yeah. The environments.
They're not
dude.
just copy paste missions. They're taking you to unique places that really feel like they had a lot of care put into how they look, and the things that they're doing. I don't even want to spoil it, but there were moments where I was like, oh, well, I guess we're in Washington DC. That makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
The
biggest thing for me, Ben, is like one. Okay, every fight is challenging. Check 1, 10 out of 10. Check 2 for an action game like this. Environments, constantly mixing it up, dude. I went to like a museum, and there was like all these old trains there.
Ooh.
There was like a Vietnam War memorial, so there were like Vietnam helicopters and sandbags, and we were like going through.
That's
That's 2 really cool environments, and like the Federal Bank, of course, and like just these crazy office buildings. And then 3 is the tactics. Enemies using different tactics, I feel like, so often. Like, yeah, there's a lot of cover, but so many times I've gone into an encounter and there's been like a named elite that has a little backstory and lore on them.
Yeah.
And then they'll mix up their fighting style. Like, Ben and I were in one where there were like snipers in the back, dude on the ground with a grenade launcher throwing grenades everywhere. Another dude with a
the grenade
mortar.
launcher guys are trouble. Yeah.
And then I did one on my own where like I went into a place, hacked something, all of a sudden the entire roof exploded. Dude came down, he's like, I've got you trapped. And he like came down. Just like there's so much flavor and personality to the villains. Here's the best one. I felt like I was fighting myself. Threw a turret down.
That's gonna happen at some point.
Threw a turret down. Guy goes, turrets are for cowards.
Yeah.
Oh my
Runs
gosh.
at me with a shotgun, like trying to flush me out.
Oh my God.
So good. Just like, yeah, the way the banter back and forth, it's really good.
Did that cause you to unequip the turret?
I felt real bad about it. I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't use this.
Yeah, you're really right here, but I think something with the enemies that surprised me, I was getting at a point early on where I was like, man, they sure do have the enemies that charge at you a lot. They sure do have like the guys that are just constantly throwing grenades. I was like, this is going to get old if it's like this for all 30 levels. But it's absolutely not. They do go out of their way to mix things up, and there are some really great enemies that you've already mentioned. The goo gun guys
The goo guns.
are great and like panic-inducing. So you have these guys that will just shoot this liquid at you and freeze you in place, and you have to mash the button to get out of it, and it kind of creates a panic situation where it's happening and you don't even realize it, and then you're up trying to get out of this goo and other guys that's shooting at you, and that's exactly what you want. They, as Hubert described, it's not just like you're getting into these combat encounters, plopping behind cover, and then just slowly and methodically picking away at all of them until they're
You have
dead.
to move around.
They will,
Flush you out.
whether it makes sense or not, they will like charge at you. They will try to go behind you. They'll throw stuff at you. They'll have different abilities, and they go out of their way to get you out of your comfort zone. I really appreciate that. I do think in order to achieve that, sometimes it feels like they're not playing by like the fairest rules.
For sure.
There are definitely times where you're like, wow, a horde of guys like just came out of that closet for no reason. Or, oh, wow, they've really just like spawned behind me out of nowhere. And so I do think that that saps a little bit away from it, but
I feel like if it didn't do that,
Right,
it'd
exactly.
be so easy to just hunker down.
Exactly.
So
and
it's
that's
kind of
that's why I kind of think it's worth it. Where it's like, okay, I would rather you kind of break the rules a little bit to make this happen, to give me this feeling, rather than have fights become a boring, don't think about it slog for sure.
So there's 2 stories I want to tell. Lastly,
Yeah.
one was my favorite side mission so far. So if you're adverse about side missions, maybe tune away. I told you this one, Ben. Who's side mission?
Who's averse to side missions?
I mean spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
For a random side mission. Not a big
Okay.
deal. But just some really cool storytelling, which I appreciate for games like this. Just constantly keeping me interested, spinning things on its head. I get a call from like a rogue, or not a rogue agent, but like someone's missing in action, like down. Like, all right, go to this place. So I expect it to just be a mission like any other where you go in and like cover to cover, take some people out.
Yeah.
Go in. Silence. Too quiet. Like, what's going on here? A little too wrath. So I'm like going in, looking for someone. All of a sudden, spotlight goes on. Batman Arkham style, body strung up
Oh my god.
dead. Lights like flash on. Dude throws like fire in. He's like, I've got you, like agent. Unknown enemy. Unknown enemy type. We get in this huge shootout in some like back office building. Throws some like electrical charge down. Flashbang. Gone. Fled. First and only enemy in the game so far that has like fled away.
It's Batman.
So it's like, what is this? So just like really cool stuff like that. Again, you know, that happened like so later on.
Yeah.
That it's just like there's opportunities and surprises constantly in this game. That I wanted to point that out. And then Ben and I in the dark zone.
Cuber, I was gonna bring up the dark zone. Needs to be brought up.
Yeah, so Ben and I go in the dark zone. And everything's chill, right? We're going through, we're taking out loot, we're figuring it out, okay? There's like a safe house in the middle of the dark zone, which I love. It's like a safe spot. You can go there. And then if you're not in the safe zone, you're vulnerable. So Ben and I are going around, and we're just getting loot. And you can only hold so much contaminated loot before you have to like air supply it out. So it's like 4 out of 4. I have 4 out of 4. Ben has 3 out of 4. We get greedy.
Uh-oh.
We're like, dude, Ben, let's just max it out.
Uh-oh.
We're in here for like 15 minutes. Haven't seen anybody.
We had convinced ourselves that it's like, if we're not gonna max it out, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're like going around, and we go in a building, and there's 2 people, and it's fine. All of a sudden, they go rogue.
Ooh.
Take us down
Ooh.
immediately.
Ouch.
So we're like, all right, maybe we're like too low level for this. That's kind of demoralizing. Like, maybe we should just like maybe go do some missions or something. Ben is like, no. It's like they're at the chopper. We
Yeah.
gotta go get them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we like run back in. The extraction is coming. It's like, 45 seconds till extraction. Men are like running. They put the stuff on the extraction point. Ben and I go for cover. These guys were professionals.
Oh yeah. They systematically dismantled us.
They were professionals. Yeah. Killed us again. Total depression.
Like it was like they watched us just go and get behind cover.
Yeah,
One
and
guy snuck around.
Yeah.
Pop with a shotgun. I'm dead. Pop get the shotgun. Huber's dead. Don't get our loot. They
it
get
all.
all of our stuff.
Took it all.
That's like a clear defeat
Yeah.
when it's 2 for 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's clear
yeah.
defeat.
When
you get the jump on
we got
too
the
the second
message.
time.
We got the message.
She's like, okay.
Message received.
Another story, kind of the opposite of that, is before that even, there was a guy that we just met, and we were like, oh wait, okay,
Ace Hardy.
yeah, I didn't remember his
Ace
name.
Hardy.
Ace
I didn't
Hardy.
remember his name, and we just started emoting at each other in game, and he just follows us around and helps us clear out
Cool,
some
love
places.
that.
We
Invite him to
invite
the
him to the group,
Cool.
and
he
found
have
a
a
friend in
mic?
the dark zone.
No.
We were in a party talking to each other.
Okay.
So maybe, but I felt like our hearts communicated.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Like we were emoting to each other. The
Yeah.
vibe was right.
That's sick.
But yeah, you can go rogue at any time, and if you go rogue, you can do special things like hack chests for extra loot. And if you keep doing that enough, you access like a special vendor called the Thieves' Den. It means you've like gone rogue really
That's
well.
cool. Yeah.
So you can get like special things, and then if you go rogue and you kill enough people and you're out of control, a manhunt starts, and then everyone in the dark zone sees you and can come for you, or you can bail out.
Just in a very practical sense, it was definitely a journey that we went in the dark zone. But even
It's
though
amazing.
like we got destroyed by these two guys twice,
Yeah.
it felt worth it because I ended up finding a gun that was like twice as good as what I was using. It was so powerful,
good.
and so yeah, it was nice. It felt like, oh hey, you're really giving me a chance at higher tier stuff just for going in and taking that risk, which I loved.
Amazing. Dark zone.
Dark Zone.
Brad,
Yes.
I'm not asking you this to put you on the spot or to like coerce you into playing. This is not the reason for this question. But the Division, not super interesting or appealing to you, and I'm just like, I want to know why. I'm curious.
Correct. Especially at this point in time, because I just played Anthem, and I don't want to play another game like that right now.
So Anthem,
I'm burnt out.
Anthem kind of poisoned the well for me a
Correct.
little
I would
bit.
be way more into trying the Division, especially on Huber and yours' praise.
Yeah.
But I just played the Anthem. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm good playing a game like this right now. I'm fine. I don't need
Yeah.
playing a game like this right now.
I think that's totally understandable. Do you think a lot of other people feel that way?
No,
I don't know.
Dude, I think because the Anthem burned so many people. I think
Yeah,
people
they
are,
might be like itching
Yeah.
for redemption.
Yeah.
I
I
actually,
think people are ready, dude. There's a lot of hype out there right now.
for me personally, I actually think that's true. Where I was interested in Anthem, played it, got really bored, dropped it super quickly, and it kind of made me more excited for the Division 2, where it was like, oh well, maybe this will be. And
Yeah.
it's really surprising me, and I think when I played the beta, my impression was this is just more of the Division 1, and it does feel that way at first, and I think if you're just kind of taking a quick look at it, it totally seems that way.
Yeah.
But I think the Division 2 is more thought out than I was willing to give it credit for when I kind of had that first blush in the beta, because it's really the details that it's getting right. It kind of takes a while to realize that, where it's like Huber said, oh, they really thought about these combat encounters. Oh, they really thought about this progression.
The progression, it seems flawless
Yeah,
right now. I'm
it's-
so impressed.
Yeah, they're really getting this nuts and bolts stuff right, and I think it's a lot of the nuts and bolts stuff that Anthem got wrong, and I think it kind of makes you even more keenly aware of how important this stuff is and how much it can add to this type of game.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sounds like a good sequel.
For sure.
yeah.
For
Proving
sure.
upon everything from the first, pretty much, sounds like.
Ready for the end game, dude.
Yeah,
Right.
I am excited to play more of it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Even just doing even things that sound like kind of boring and generic, like there are these control points that you can go to and you just have to clear waves of enemies, and then you get the control point and there's loot that you get, and you can fast travel there. Sounds super generic and boring,
Yeah.
but because of how tuned the fights are, like I'm kind of excited to do
Yeah.
them. Even
Yeah.
after doing a handful, I want to do more.
Yeah.
Just to get into those fights, just to
And
kind of feel that rush.
And the fast travel's like so important.
Yeah, and it again, kind of nuts and bolts stuff. They put these control points in positions where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna want to fast travel there when I go do this mission or go get this, shade cache.
Yeah.
Shade
which is-
cache?
Shade tech.
Shade, yeah.
Shade tech cash, dude.
Whoa,
Yeah, so-
that sounds awesome.
It's just a thing that you need to
Give me that
get
shade
skills
cache.
and, different mods for skills.
I will say again about the story not fully coming together yet
Not
too.
mods for skills.
In the Division 1, I just feel like every time I went into off the beaten path into like someone's apartment, it kind of like told just a like a world building story, you know?
Right.
I just haven't had those moments yet in 2, and that's really been the only disappointing part.
Sure.
So, just kind of the environments are kind of blending together now.
Right.
The missions are so varied, it obviously helps so much. There's so many things to do, it helps. But I just want a couple more stories, you know?
Question. So
Yeah.
this game is it open world?
It's open world, but like your main game is just for you and your party.
Well, like I mean, like navigating through the world, is it like you can go any direction you want,
Yeah.
or you have to go like a specific like
No.
route
You
to
are-
stuff?
You can
Free to go
go
anywhere.
in any direction that you want.
Okay.
But the way that it kind of works is
There's like
so you start at the White
blockades.
House. and you have this map, right? And you just section this map off into different like quadrants. Those quadrants have like level ranges where it's like, hey, from level 1 to 7, you're going to want to hang out here. From level 7 to 11, you're going to want to hang out here. And so you just kind of slowly make that map larger and larger as you get through it. But
cool. Loving it.
And I also like how things kind of feed into each other, where it's like, hey, if you go and you do this, you'll unlock more of these activities. And so it just is kind of constantly blossoming. But it's very good. Very, very good. Brad, I want to take us in a completely different direction from The Division 2. I was asking before the show, like, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? And you were like, I want to talk about Link's Awakening.
That's
and
right.
I was like, Brad, that game is amazing.
Yeah. So with the reveal of the remake of Link's Awakening coming to Switch, I decided to revisit I'm playing the DX version. So the Game Boy Color version, because I haven't played these since... I think the last time I played them was on Super Game Boy, I believe. So it's been a long time. And I was like, I think it's time to revisit this game. Yeah. Glad to say it's still real good. It's still awesome. A nice little like side story that does a lot of weird things for Zelda series, especially at the time. And I'd say mostly in its characters in the game. There's a lot of weird characters in this game I did not see in a Zelda game before. I think this came out after Link to the Past. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm not sure.
I think it did. But like you're running into a bunch of weird, bizarre, colorful characters that when I see them in a Zelda game, I'm like, whoa. Like there's Bow Wow, and it's like right at the beginning, like Chain Chomp's like, whoa, what? There's Goombas in this game. Wait, what? You could jump. You can get an item that lets you jump, which is awesome. That's like the first time you could ever jump in a Zelda game besides 2.
Can you double jump?
No. But you do a front flip.
Nice.
Which is really cool. I just been having a really good time going through it. I was trying to, when I was revisiting this game, and I was like, how are these dungeons? I don't remember them that well. Are they actually really cool? Do they hold up? They start off slow as you expect, but I think later on as you go through the game, they get better and better and better. Pretty easy. Also, I would say, so far at least, it's not that hard. There's some cool stuff. I did the color dungeon, though.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, that was added into the game, but I never did before because I didn't know about
DX
it.
exclusive?
Yeah, it was a DX. It's just like a cool little like dungeon that has like some mechanics that weren't in the game any other place.
Very focused around color.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is really...
Yeah,
it was like these jumping pads and stuff like that weren't in the game before. I was like, oh, this is sick, man.
Yeah,
it wasn't my favorite dungeon, but as a nice little bonus...
I wouldn't say any of the dungeons are like when I think of like the best dungeons in Zelda series, like I do not think of these dungeons at all. They're just cool. Yeah. They're just fun little dungeons like that. They don't go on for too long. Some of them were kind of obtuse at like one point, but nothing really that bad.
I really love some of the boss fights in Link's Awakening, even more than the dungeons themselves. When I think back to my time, some of those
they're super wacky. I'll say.
Yeah. I think that's what's so exciting about
Link's Awakening is just like super wacky game.
Yeah, it feels like it's just kind of bursting with these ideas, like the 2D sections.
Yeah, those are really fun.
Items, how the world is laid out. One of my favorite things in Link's Awakening, Brad, is how kind of central that town feels and how you revisit it and how things change over time and how much you're encouraged to interact with the characters. You really get a nice... intimate familiarity with that place and those people, and by the end you really feel like you know them, which I like quite a bit.
I feel like navigating the world is kind of a pain in this game a lot, because you have to... The Game Boy only had 2 buttons pretty much. You could use A and B.
That's my least favorite thing about Link's Awakening is the
you have
changing.
to constantly change. Like there's objects you have to lift and just you get to put on a bracelet to change your item to lift it and throw it, and you go screen, you come back, it's still there. It's like I wish it just was gone forever. I wish I didn't need to put on a bracelet to just pick this up or anything like that.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing I think this remake needs to fix. And then if you've got
like
that,
it kind of slows down the pace a lot, where I just get kind of annoyed at things like that. But otherwise, I've been still very impressed with this game, having a real good time.
But as a Game Boy game, I think...
As a Game Boy game, I understand like where it's coming from. Some of the systems feel from like a Game Boy time. Like, I would just run into like an item on like a block on accident, just run into it, and like a text box comes up every single time you accidentally bump into it. I'm just like...
just like the crane game, or like getting zapped if you steal something.
Yeah, that's all really cool stuff that game I remember like pioneering and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was the Zelda game I remember doing more wacky stuff right off the beginning, which was cool and great. Total side story.
So it's been so long since you've revisited Link's Awakening. Has your opinion of it gone up or down, or has it made you think about it in a new way?
I mean, I think about it in a different way, I guess, just because I look at games differently now compared to when I was younger. I remember liking it a lot. I still do like it a lot. I haven't finished it yet. I think I have 2 more dungeons to go.
Yeah.
But I'm having a real good time playing it. It's like scratching that little itch that I had for like a little Zelda game.
Little Zelda itch.
Yeah, a little Zelda itch. And I'm like, oh, this is fun, man.
Yeah, it's hard for me to look at Link's Awakening, I think, completely objectively because the Game Boy Pocket was the first system I ever owned.
Oh,
and,
really?
Yeah, and Link's Awakening, it was either Game Boy Pocket or Nomad.
Sega Nomad.
I think the Sega Nomad was my first console because it could play Genesis games, and then the Game Boy Pocket was my first handheld system. I don't remember which one I got first, but they were both
close.
the very early days of my video game life. But anyway, all of that aside, Link's Awakening was an early game that I got on it, and at that point, I had no familiarity with Zelda.
Really? Was that your first one?
Yeah, it was my first one. I mean, I remember I found out that Zelda is really popular and you should check this out. And I think I heard murmurings of Ocarina of Time, but I didn't know, I didn't understand. And Link's Awakening was my first experience with Zelda, and I loved it immediately. Hadn't played Zelda 1 or 2 or Link to the Past, didn't have a Super Nintendo. But just that music and that town is just so burned. Because when you're a kid, you just get to appreciate things in a little bit of a different way, where it's like, this is all I have, and so I'm just going to play it and play it and play it and play it.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, the wackiness, seeing the Goombas for the first time, it was just such a cool experience. I do totally agree with you about having to constantly switch. It's legitimately annoying. Huber, do you have any experience with Link's Awakening?
I do not.
So you'll be going in fresh for the remake.
Yeah,
Going
very
in
hyped.
fresh for the remake.
It's really fun.
I know everything about it.
That's what I was going to ask
Unfortunately, but
yeah, I feel like
fine.
Link's
It's
Awakening is not only old, but it's beloved to a point where people kind of ruin everything.
Freely talk about it.
Yeah. So I'm sorry that we freely talked about it.
The story, they kind of just present what it is pretty early on in the game.
Does that make you less excited to play the remake?
No.
Okay.
Very excited.
The game doesn't treat that as a secret or anything like that. The game makes it really obvious pretty early on.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, I don't remember it being this early.
Anytime a Zelda game comes out, it's maximum hype, no matter what.
Nice.
So,
what was your first Zelda?
the original NES.
The NES. Was that
my neighbor? Well, I had an NES. I didn't have the game, but my neighbor had the gold cartridge.
Yeah.
I can remember just that,
Stand
just the
out.
cartridge itself being such a thing. So I used to borrow it from him and play.
Yeah, man, my experience with the NES was so limited. I played Mario and Mega Man. I was just limited to what other people had in their houses
that's what
when
it
I
was.
visited them.
Yeah, borrow.
Yeah, you had a game or your friend had it, and that was that's it.
No, I feel like I got lucky though because I didn't play any bad ones. My first super vivid gaming memory is Mega Man 2, and I was like, well, this is perfect.
Yeah, I lucked out too. I didn't have a lot of bad games, luckily.
But yeah, I didn't play the original Legend of Zelda till much later, and even playing it much later in my life, I loved it.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a game that I think if it was your first Zelda and Zelda wasn't kind of a super established thing in the way that it is now, it's challenging, it's confusing, it's
Zelda 1?
disorienting.
Yeah.
Didn't beat it for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't beat a Zelda until I had Ocarina on N64.
As a kid,
Because I got the gold cartridge of that too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. As a kid, when you kind of ran into those situations where it's like, oh man, I don't know where to go, or this thing keeps destroying me. What was your method? Were you writing down notes? Were you just taking breaks?
I have
a
an older brother, so we would write things down. We would look in magazines anytime we were at stores, if there was a strategy guide there, or if there were little tips in a Game Pro or something. I would ask around, if Brad or other friends had played it. And then if still I was stuck, I would just move on to another game. It would never really stress me out as a kid,
Yeah.
But now if I'm stuck on a game, it's I gotta beat this. But I was way okay with no, I'll just play a different game for now.
Yeah.
Go back to it later. Used to get to a point in a game and then just start over. Happened so many times in games back then growing up. get to this, like Rocket Knight Adventures.
Yeah.
Used to get to the end all the time and then just wipe and then
Yeah,
just
that game is hard.
start it again.
Yeah, that game is super
Yeah, do you know how many
brutal.
times I tried to beat Ninja Gaiden when I was a kid? So many times.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. That was your methodology was very similar to mine. I didn't have a brother, but I think what helped and what made it so it wasn't really like weighing on you is it's not like you just go on the internet or go to YouTube and watch some master demonstrate how to do it. It was like, I've done what I can.
Exactly.
I've used the tools available to me. I mean, that's not completely true, of course. There were magazines, there were hotlines you could call, but it definitely felt a lot more limited.
Never called a
than it is.
hotline.
I did.
Always wanted to.
That's where I found where the red ring was.
The red
in
ring
Zelda.
with your brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me about this.
Because we didn't know where it was.
So
Like,
sick.
it's Ganon's castle. And I was like, where's that?
So sick.
I think I was in
sick.
like 4th or 5th grade. I don't remember, but I wrote a letter into Nintendo Power.
That's sick.
I think I told this story before. Maybe I didn't, but I wanted to know. I loved Smash 64 a lot, but I didn't know how to get all the characters, and so I wrote, "How do I unlock these characters?" And I remember getting a letter back in the mail.
That's awesome.
And, yeah. Oh, it was a very exciting. I was genuinely giddy about just seeing like
That's amazing.
Nintendo in
Yeah,
the
that's
mail at
super
my
cool.
home. Yeah,
So
Nintendo
cool.
Power was pretty
Link's
awesome.
Awakening. Check
Link's
it out.
Awakening.
Good stuff.
It's good.
Yeah, Brad, like I was saying, it's a game that's very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't always know, like with fresh eyes, how they would feel. And so I'm curious, and I want to know, and I hope people reach out to us and say, like, when you play Link's Awakening, Hubert, I want to hear from you too,
Yeah.
like what you think of it and how that stuff holds up.
I mean, I've played all the main lines except Majora's Mask. I know it's a big backlog. Shame.
Been trying for a long time.
I know. Well, because years ago I was like, dude, we got to stream it with like you guys and
Yeah.
Damiani and
Yeah.
Bossman. You guys love it. Shit, where was I going with that?
Played all the main lines, except
It's
Majora's
the
Mask.
Yeah. Oh, Link Between Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Because I missed Spirit Tracks and Fenrir
Hourglass, yeah.
So Link Between Worlds came out, and I was like, it's handheld, but I'm going to give it a shot, like, regardless, and ended up just over the moon with that game. That's one
Link
of the best.
Between Worlds?
That is, like, top 3 handheld games of all time.
Yeah.
So I feel I'm treating Link's Awakening kind of like that, where it's like a mainline but a spin-off kind of like a side game. We just
It's
had
a
Breath of the
side
Wild.
story.
It's a side thing, but like I'm treating it kind of like a Link Between Worlds.
The Zelda cycle is always like it's always fascinating and it's always disappointing because Zelda promotes like such strong feelings in people. Like I rarely run into people where they're invested in Zelda and they're like, oh, whatever, I take it as they come. Like they take hard stances. Like this is the best one, this is the worst one.
They're all
And
tens.
I feel like the cycle is starts with a lot of hype, gets strong immediate backlash, then there's backlash to the backlash.
Yes.
And then you get people that are like, it's good, not great, and we just keep spinning
It's
round
always-
and round.
Every mainline Mario and Zelda game is just a 10. It's irrational. I'm sorry, but every single mainline Mario and Zelda is perfection. They are 10s.
What's the
Nothing
worst?
better than
What's the
one of
worst
those release.
mainline Mario, in your opinion?
Probably Mario 2.
Yeah,
Probably Mario 2. Still a great game though, man. It's so good still.
it is. It is. It's really good. It is. Like, but that doesn't. Does that? It's so. Does that count?
2? Because it's like a reskin?
Yeah.
I guess it counts. His name's on it. He's on the box. He's
Like
jumping.
even, I think of like
Not in
1
Japan,
and
though.
3 and World and 6, like 10s, 10, they're all 10s.
So what's the weakest Zelda?
I've never finished Zelda 2. I've just played a little bit, so I can't really
Zelda
speak.
2 is very challenging.
Yeah, I can't really speak to that one. My least favorites, it would either be the original or Skyward Sword. But I would still give those games 10, dude.
Yeah.
Skyward Sword is phenomenal.
Skyward Sword is
So good.
derided quite a bit, and like I think there's so many valid things to criticize about that game.
know,
There's some
I
decisions
know.
that are baffling,
I know.
but like to the depths of my soul, I love it.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
love Skyward
it's
Sword
so rational.
so much.
Totally.
I don't know, man. Just something about the way that world is presented. Some of those dungeons are unreal. Some of those boss fights are unreal. Like, yeah, it does some annoying, repetitive, dumb things, but at the end of the day, like, I couldn't get enough. Like, any game that makes it so I'm playing you for like 8 or more hours a day and I can't stop unless I'm forced to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you just think about said game constantly, even years later.
Yeah.
Like I still think about all the Zeldas I've played here and there, thinking about Epona's Ranch or whatever. Or what is the
Lon Ranch.
Lon Ranch, or like Girahim boss fight, or Rain and Link to the Past.
Yeah, you need to play Majora's Mask, man. Yeah. One day.
That would be a great game to stream with
this
you guys.
Halloween stream, dude. Full playthrough.
It'd be good. Oh, man. Just seeing your reactions to some of those stories and some of those events, I think would be really good.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure he gets all the masks.
I want to give
you guys there. I'll be like,
I haven't played Majora's
hands.
Mask fully in so long.
So bummed I missed it. It's just like you couldn't get as many games as a kid,
Absolutely.
So I probably
2000,
bought like battle tanks instead or something. Like
Battle Tanks was fun, dude.
you know how you talked about like just bouncing off games and as a kid and being like, I just can't get any farther. I'm not feeling it. There's a game that happened to me and I was so excited to get it and I just wasn't feeling it and I'd like to revisit it. It's Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't. It didn't make my heart sing the way that Banjo-Kazooie did.
So this game apparently is like some divisive.
It is. It's
crazy
very divisive.
meme.
It's
Okay.
very divisive.
I have not replayed it in a while, but
I haven't played it since.
When it
beginning
came
days.
out,
Yeah.
I played that thing so much, especially the multiplayer. The multiplayer was awesome. That's the only thing I remember. Haven't played it since. Could be terrible, but I know when I played it, I really enjoyed it for a while.
Need to revisit Donkey Kong 64. Put it on the list.
I played that like 3 years ago, some of it.
No.
I don't like it. It's very tedious.
A lot of those N64 games, dude, I'm afraid
But
to
it's
go
like,
back
I
to.
think about like Banjo-Kazooie, because it's the same people. I'm just like, Banjo-Kazooie is so much a better game.
Did it come
compared
out
to
after?
Yeah.
Banjo-
No, Donkey Kong came out after.
Oh,
It's kind of ridiculous how good Banjo-Kazooie still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banjo hype.
I want to give a
back.
shout out to
Where's
a game.
Banjo-Kazooie?
They brought him back and it sucked.
Yeah, bring it fully back.
You know, I've only like messed around with nuts and bolts. I haven't really taken a deep dive
What
on
if
it.
I told you that's all you want to do when
Yeah.
you play it?
It's just mess around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
that
dude,
makes
check
sense.
out this map. I want to explore and
There
platform
are-
elevate. And you just can't.
There are a few things in life where I've just felt Brad's disappointment so hard.
Yeah, I was upset.
When Brad got nuts and bolts,
I was just like, what, dude?
like it's a depression.
I was so open-minded too about it.
You're like, dude, this is fun, man.
I was like,
man,
it'd be cool, like building stuff up. It could be cool, man. Banjo's back. And we just played it for like
like a day later,
4
dude.
hours. Just like, nah, I hate this. I don't want to do any more races.
Brad, I feel like you're describing my exact experience with Final Fantasy 13, where I was just like,
sure.
This is cool. And then, yeah, you know at a certain point, they're just like, nope, that's just not, nope. I want to give a shout out to a game that Ian was talking about, and actually Justin Spear from the Game Trailers days. I don't know if the audience remembers him, but he was like, hey, you should check this out. And I didn't know anything about it. Apparently, it's getting a decent amount of buzz. But I'm glad I didn't know anything about it. It kind of helped. It's called Baba Is You.
Oh, yeah. I was curious about this game.
Yeah. So just started this game just kind of based on that word of mouth. And it is such a cool game. It's a puzzle game. But the way that it works is you kind of have this screen and there's a goal that you need to get to, like a flag. And so if your character touches the flag, you beat the level.
Oh.
But the way that it works is there are these blocks, and it will kind of dictate the logic of the level. So it'll say, Baba, and you look like this little white dog creature, is you. And so because you have that structure, Baba is you, the player, are controlling this white little dog. However, you can't. These blocks are physical things in the world that you can push and manipulate. So you can go and you can be like, okay, well, I'm going to replace Baba with rock, and suddenly I'm controlling the rock in the level.
Got it.
And you can make that even crazier, where you can be like, wall is you, and you're controlling like this huge wall, and you're just shifting it so you can get to the goal. But if you like push something, like let's say you have Baba is you and you push the Baba, and so you just have nothing is you, then you're just frozen because you don't exist. And so it's such a cool game because it's not like it's sitting there tutorializing you. It is kind of taking you through these ideas one by one and getting you to think in this really crazy way. And the setups to the puzzles are interesting in the sense that like just you have to get creative and you're constantly learning new things with every single level. But it goes beyond that. You realize like how you're kind of conditioned to think about certain things. And so there's levels where there's lava and you know without needing to see anything in the game, like don't touch lava. Lava is bad. Don't do that. But in order to get by this level, you need to be able to change these logic things in order to be like push the lava, make the lava safe. And so you just have to kind of get your brain to be like, oh, like I know that's bad. I know I shouldn't do that. I know in any other video game this would be bad. But here, if I play around with it and I change the rules, I'll be able to get by. And it's so clever. It's like kind of infuriating how clever this game is. And that it goes beyond just the design of it. It's been a long time since a video game has made me feel this moronic.
Oh my
where like you'll get to a new level, and I was talking to Ian about this. We kind of both had the same sensation. You'll get to a new level, and you're like, "Huh, yeah, I don't even know where to start." Like you just sit there, not moving, staring at it, trying to figure out what it wants. It's not necessarily a mark against the game.
Yeah.
It makes it so much more satisfying when you do figure it out that you're not just sleeping through these.
Got a question for you. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily about the game specifically, but
sure.
Just I love video games.
Yeah.
I love the video game industry because I feel like so often now these sleeper games come out of nowhere and like grab a hold of the public consciousness for a minute. You know, I think of like Undertale coming out of nowhere, Gone Home, Papers, Please, these games that just kind of sneak up. But I feel like their moment is so brief and quick, right? So like this Baba Is You, I feel like if I don't play this immediately, the ship has sailed. Or like it's not as special, like I waited to play Gone Home or Stanley Payable. It's like just a massive amount of hype immediately and then nothing. So then when I go back after the fact, it's like I don't get as much out of it. Do you have that feeling? Is that just me, Ben? Or do you think this game is so clever and fun that it'll just last for a while? Or what's kind of your take on that?
I think there's a lot to unpack with that question. Because I think with indie games specifically, like Baba Is You is not trying to be a graphical powerhouse. It's very simply presented. It is about the ideas that it has. That's the whole thing. Is you kind of being like, oh, what a great inventive way to do a puzzle game. And I feel like when you get a big AAA game, it's like, well, how does it look? How does it sound? What's the end game like? Like you have all these expectations, whereas here it's like, this is bringing me something that I didn't even know that I wanted. So I think maybe that's why you feel that, where it's not like, yeah, it's another one of these types of games. It's something brand new, and so you don't want to miss that moment. You want to be there as people are trying to figure it out together. You don't want to be there when everybody's already figured it out and it's not exciting anymore. I get that, and I think that's fair, and I think in this case it can apply. But I don't necessarily know if I agree with the idea that these indie game moments are always so short-lived. I think a lot of things in life, it seems like everything is getting more and more short-lived. But there are indie games that like I still think about. Like this game made me think about The Witness and how much I enjoyed that and how much of an impact that left on me. It really wasn't this like passing experience. Super Meat Boy, Inside, Limbo.
Like Inside, I was there at the moment, so that one stays with me forever.
Yeah.
But Undertale I missed, and it's been so hyped.
But yeah, Undertale is a good example.
I know so much about it now, just like its passive nature and, But
here's the thing.
I feel like I know so much, so it's like I don't get to experience and figure it all out with everyone,
I think there are some experiences where having that moment with everybody is really the excitement.
I love that.
But
I love that
I
feeling.
think some things can be so strong that they transcend that. Where even if you've heard people talk about it so much that you just want them to shut up. The thing is so good that it still feels new to you, that there's nothing that anybody can say that can really take away how special it is. I actually think Undertale is like that.
Cool.
I think,
High on my
to
list.
me, at least what I've played, nothing has quite captured Undertale the way that Undertale has. And it gets by on very basic things. It's like, oh, I've never seen a game try to do combat like this. I've never seen a game have writing like this. I've never seen a game kind of present characters in this way. And like, yeah, there was definitely an Undertale wave. I think, Huber, if you played Undertale now, it is a good chance that it would still leave a huge impression on you, for sure. Just like, I think, you know, there are games that we love. I think you can still play RE1 Remake and have that leave an impact on you. It transcends.
It kind of feels like there's a window, right? Like Journey, say, is a good example of like so much hype for a while, and then it kind of like disappears, and then kind of like swells up again. There's more Journey hype. So.
But it swells up again because that goodness is still there. You know, the time hasn't affected it too much. It's a good question, though. But yeah,
how
Baba,
far are you in Baba?
I'm on the second world, so I'm still very early on. And it is just, you know, 100%. Having those moments where I'm like, just solving a level kind of feels like a feat.
Like you solve one, you're like, okay, I'm done for a minute.
No idea if I'm going to finish this game, and even if I do, it'll be extremely slow going. It'll be like, okay, I solved the level, I'm done for today.
Yeah.
I imagine that is
That's
how
cool.
I
I
will
like
approach
that,
it.
though.
Yeah.
Have they done anything that has like completely surprised you? Like,
Huber?
Big
Spoilers.
Without spoiling it.
Absolutely.
Shocking. Like, whoa.
Without spoiling it, it happens so far. Obviously, still at the beginning, but so far that has been the very, very beginning to where I am right now. In the very beginning, there is like some kind of like, oh, okay, like that's kind of how I expected it to work, but that vanishes super quickly, and even that stuff, I would say, kind of carries an element of wow, like, you know, we always talk about the aha moment in puzzles. It's like, you know, when you were a kid and you had those images where like you had to like
Stare at him.
The
to like
magic eye.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Nice.
Where you just kind of keep staring at it, and then
clicks.
suddenly you like peer through it, and you're like, oh,
That's cool.
what I'm looking at, if I just look at it this way, it completely changes, and it's a really incredible feeling.
Nice.
Yeah,
I just wish the moments would last longer, I guess. That's kind of where I was coming from, you know?
I actually had a long conversation with Abby about that, where I'm like, man, even if something is really, really good and people talk about it, it seems like the most we get is like a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think part of that is just there's so much stuff that, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
But the moment that I always think about is when Ocarina of Time happened, I felt like I was talking about Ocarina of Time with friends for years.
Yeah,
We're
Like,
still doing it.
Yeah. I mean, we still are, but I mean, it was just like you would hang out with them and you talk about it or you play it. Like, it wasn't something that you were over with in a month. It was something that was so good, it kind of dominated your life for a very long time. And I long for those experiences too, but it's also our job to constantly talk about new things. You know, by the time you finish with a review, you get a new one.
Baba is you, dude.
Baba is you.
Yeah,
I'm like
$15.
intimidated.
Hey,
intimidated
$15.
by it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I feel like I could beat like maybe World 1. That's my goal.
Don't undersell yourself.
Yeah.
I think that I would like get good bang for your buck. Go
One
in
world.
with the goal of finish World 1. Anything after that's a bonus.
I think you can.
I'm gonna throw this at you. For this specifically, it's not like you're experiencing a story. It's not. Well, I mean, as far as I know, based on what has been presented to me so far,
PC, right?
I'm playing it on PC. You can also play it on Switch. I don't know if it's beyond those two, but I know you can do it on those. I also felt this way about The Witness, where, like, not that finishing is bad or you shouldn't do it, but really it's just to kind of experience this super, super novel, cool, new idea. You know, play it, enjoy it, in your own way and just kind of get that experience.
That gives me, when you're talking about, like, reminds me of Portal, like this weird concept for the first time playing through it. Like, that's just exciting. Like,
It
even
is.
like
It
just
is very
figuring it out
exciting.
is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's what it was. That's why my whole like side tangent came of like these games that come out and just have all this hype for a minute is because I feel like indie games specifically always have some magic to it where it's like you're figuring something out and something is surprising you, you know? I love that stuff.
Yeah,
It just catches you off guard, you know?
it's that Mario 64 feeling of let me change the way I think about games, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of that spirit there. Like Undertale has that spirit of we don't have to do RPGs like this. We can do it a new way.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's kind of what Baba Is You is saying, is like, here's a new way to kind of have puzzle solving. And it's really, really cool. Yeah. I recommend it, and yeah, want to play more of it, but I also might just grind out the Division 2. Opposite end of the spectrum.
Quick research break, do you mind, Ben?
Absolutely. That gives Brad and I time to talk about Devil May Cry 5.
Ooh. Bang, bang, bang.
Bang, bang, bang. Brad, Devil May Cry 5 has been a long time coming.
Hell yeah.
I reviewed it. Devil May Cry has just been kind of like the number one thing on my mind for a while, for a bunch of different reasons. How did it hit you, man?
Hit me good. Devil May Cry 4, I think it was 2008.
Yep.
I think.
That's right.
Like when I started playing 5, I was like, dude, it's been like 11 years since 4. I mean, I know there's DMC, but it's way different.
Yeah.
Way different vibe. Felt good to be back.
Nice. So 3 different characters, Dante, Nero, and V. How did they kind of, I don't know, what did you think of V, the newest edition, the most different edition?
I think he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
He's extremely different from Dante and Nero. I mean, Dante and Nero, they play completely different also, but they have like the sword, the gun, kind of thing like that. You know, you're going up to enemies, you're slashing them. With V, you're a summoner. You're not really physically hitting them that often.
Yeah.
Instead, you have these badass like Raven, or I guess he's like a vulture more so, kind of a panther and a golem fighting with you, and you're a summoner playing in an action game when summoners are usually more, I feel like, static characters. You sick your pet on someone, it's more just an auto attack. Like I was thinking of WoW earlier, like you send your Void Walker on a guy, you know, he's just kind of hitting him while you're casting stuff. But this, you're actively like using these summons as like a fight, as like a Devil May Cry action game. They all have specific moves like that are super complex moves, just like Nero and Dante. Like you're not switching weapon types or anything like that, but like these guys have different moves specifically for each creature you're taking control of. So you got your forward and triangle or whatever with one. You got forward and triangle again with the other. That's a completely different move, and you're mixing them together at the same time. It's not as complex as the other two, but I'd say it's pretty damn complex for a summoner I've never seen before.
Yeah, I also like that the things that you're summoning, your pets, cannot kill the things. You have to go in,
physically kill
you have
them.
to put yourself at risk. And they just do it in the flashiest way. I mean, V porting over to a weakened enemy and having like different animations depending on what you're killing.
I think it's smart
really
that
cool.
you don't have to run over to all of them. That you could just kind of teleport to them, because it would slow the flow down quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, and it just wouldn't feel stylish, right? I mean, if you
for
have
a game
that's
all about being stylish,
when you're setting up combos with these other things, if you just had to awkwardly run over, you know, they account for that. They make it fit within the kind of rhythm of combat.
And I never get tired of just using Devil Trigger and him just snapping and the golem coming down. I never get tired of that.
Yeah. With the other characters, with Nero and Dante, I think something that really impressed me is there's so many Devil Breakers. There's so many weapons that Dante gets. And he has all these different styles, and there's all these new skills that you can learn. I was just kind of amazed where it was like, oh, wow, you have this huge web of options, and they're all like everything feels like it has a place, and if you take the time to not go beyond like, oh, okay, I'm just comfortable with this. If you're constantly expanding your horizons, you see immediate rewards.
Yeah,
and that is so immensely.
Yeah,
satisfying.
I feel like you will inevitably fall into your kind of favorite Devil Breakers,
Sure.
Specifically, but I feel like they're all pretty useful.
Yeah.
I never really get one. I'm like, oh man, this one sucks. I just like get rid of it immediately. Like I do use it for a little bit, even if I do ditch it. I mean, because you're kind of supposed to in combat.
Right.
But I feel like they're pretty dang useful for how much stuff is in this game, actually.
Yeah. Even Devil Breakers, like I remember getting Ragtime at first, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but I'm going to stick with these other things. Then I was like, oh no, I'm going to give Ragtime another shot. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. This is so useful. But it can't do everything. It's not like Ragtime is doing all this damage and giving me all this mobility. It's just slowing down time, and I need to kind of mold myself with Nero around this.
Yeah,
Devil
you change
Breaker.
how you play it with the specific arm.
I love that so much. What do you think about the boss fights?
Pretty good. I think they get better as it goes on.
Yeah.
I think around the halfway point where I was like, whoa, this is a good boss fight. A really specific one, I don't want to say, but I feel like they progress usually better and better and better and better as they go on. Some of them are just okay.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like any of them were really bad that I remember. Like some are just, that's fine.
Sure.
But I feel like they do get better. Especially like, I think the end of the game's boss fights are very good.
Huber, we just talked about missing moments, and you are reviewing The Division 2. You've got a lot on your plate. Haven't been able to play Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah.
Not
Depression.
Yeah. You know, not a guilt trip, but
Actually depressed.
does it kind of make you anxious when like everybody's talking about it or playing it, and you're like, I can't be there yet, but I want to be?
Yeah, because, Devil May Cry, like, getting the first game on PS2, that was like, dude, launching someone up in the air, like,
Whoa.
double pistols, that was like a
crazy.
moment of my youth.
Yeah.
I will never forget. And yeah, it's just been one of my favorite franchises for a long time, so it hurt not being there Thursday 9 p.m., Monday 9 p.m., whatever, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like launch night. Feels like everyone's kind of like been there, done that as soon as Sekiro comes out, like DMC, old news.
But you've been doing something, and I love that you do this. You do this with so many things. You're also doing it with Game of Thrones.
Do it with the most important things I love.
Yeah, you're playing through older games, and so you just finished Devil May Cry 3, and you're playing through Devil May Cry 4.
Yeah.
How long has it been since you've visited those things?
Their launch systems. So I got the HD collection on PS3, and I meant to go back and play them because I had only played them on PS2.
Yeah.
Didn't get around to it. Then the PS4 collection came out. I was like, okay, now's the time. Finished 1 and 2 like a year and a half ago, and then just finished 3, and now I'm on 4. Had finished 4 obviously when it came out too on 360.
2 is a game, man, that like I thought was so bad to the point where I was like, I need to revisit it to make sure I still feel that way. Boy, do I. That game, like,
Not very good.
yeah, it just doesn't understand what Devil May Cry is. But anyway.
3 is so cool.
Yeah.
3 is like a good return to form.
3 is insane.
Just ramped up.
Yeah.
Going back to 4,
And
though,
1.
Did it kind of change your mind on Nero at all, or do you kind of have the same?
Yeah, you always loved Nero.
Yeah, my favorite thing when 4 came out was Nero.
Yeah.
Like, I loved Nero.
Yeah.
It was the only thing I remembered really was Nero from 4, and just loving it to death.
So Brad, in Devil May Cry 5, you're changing between characters. So you'll do a chunk as this character, and then another one, and then you might be able to choose, or you'll bounce around. How did the kind of general pacing of the game work for you? Were you always, when that switch happened, were you always ready and excited for it? Did it disappoint you?
Yeah, I feel like they gave you, like, especially in the beginning, they give you like 3 maybe missions as Nero, then you switch to V. They give you like a little time to sink into the character and kind of feel them out.
Yeah.
They don't go one mission switch. They give you some time to like really understand the character. Then they switch a little bit, then you get to the big boy Dante. And when you get to Dante, you are so ready for Dante.
Yeah.
Like, that's the moment, man.
So you finished Devil May Cry 5 on Devil Hunter.
Yeah, I just beat it once.
Are you looking forward to playing it on other difficulties? Are you ready to take a break?
I do want to play the hard difficulties. I played yesterday, and I was just getting S ranks for the normal difficulty, just because I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back and play on the harder difficulties, because it was a little too easy for me.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted a little more pushback.
Brad, I 100% agree on Devil Hunter. But Son of Sparta is...
Yeah, that's what... Yeah.
like playing Son of Sparta, you're like, why doesn't everyone put this much love and care into their difficulties? Like it
just feels right, man.
The
That's a rare feeling to me. It feels like that.
It's so good.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Multiplayer with this game. What do you think about it? I think it was an interesting idea that didn't pay off really.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing it. The way that I would describe it is like inoffensive but also forgettable.
Yeah.
Where the way that it works, to kind of explain it to the audience, is you'll go into missions and at certain times, and even there are specific rooms where it's like, okay, you're going to be with like the ghost data of this player, and you can rank them on how stylish they are. And it's just kind of like a thing that happens, and it's neat. And it's kind of novel at first, but you kind of get to a point where you're never forced to really interact with this other thing in a meaningful way, and it doesn't really change how you really approach combat in a way. But I think the reason why it's not this huge detraction for me is also exactly for those reasons. It didn't make the game any worse.
Right.
It wasn't taking away from combat. It wasn't taking away from the storytelling in a way that I thought was dramatic.
I just thought it was...
I was just kind of whatever.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird because I'd finish a mission and it'd have me rate someone, and I had no idea that I was even playing with another person at the time. Like, I never saw anyone the whole time.
Yeah.
They're like, rate this person. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't even see this person.
Right.
Stylish, whatever.
Yeah.
Just take it.
Yeah, exactly, Brett. I think it's just this exactly like you described it. Like, wait, what? Okay. It's just sort of a whatever thing.
I'd love more Resident Evil 6 style co-op.
What do you mean?
Where when you would sync up with 2 other players for boss fights and stuff,
Brett,
the junction points, like I feel like there's some magic there that
Yeah, I mean, they kind of
tapped.
tease it or do that a little in this game.
I-
Like once or twice maybe.
just based on the implementation we're seeing here, I wonder if at one point there was kind of more of a
co-op.
more
I
of a
think there
co-op
was
focus.
probably, dude.
And I wonder, like, if they would go again, if that, like, you would see
Like,
a
I
more
think
explicit implementation.
Scalebound was gonna do something like that too.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe
it was.
everyone
You were
was
gonna
like,
have, that was a big thing. That
maybe
they
they're
showed off
around the
with
same time
multiplayer.
thinking of that. Then they're just like, this doesn't really work.
Yeah, the multiplayer is a good. I'm glad that you brought that up because it is just such a whatever thing in Devil May Cry 5. The other thing that I think to bring up is you just get to a point where you're kind of swimming in gold orbs. And what gold orbs do is you either find them out in the world, or when people are rating you stylish, if they happen to get linked up with you, you can get gold orbs. And just for logging into the game, you get gold orbs.
Login
you boot
bonus.
it up and it'll be like, hey, you get 1 gold orb. What gold orbs do is they revive you and they just completely restore you at the spot where you died. And talking to Matt Walker from Capcom, he was like, hey, we want to give people options, like however you want to approach Devil May Cry, we want to make it comfortable for you. And as somebody who's been familiar with the series, I was like, man, like you guys went too far with this. Like it feels like you're overdoing it, especially on Devil Hunter. But I was like, man, there are also a lot of people that are playing this for the first time.
Yep.
And if they get to a boss that they really struggle with and they just want to move on, I think that's okay. I think it could have been done maybe a little bit more elegantly than it was done here.
I feel like you get just too many though, period.
Yeah.
Just too many.
I think you just get too many.
Yeah, I think just hearing from what you guys have said, and you too, Ben, about the harder difficulties is just like they wanted to make sure that anyone could pick this up and get through on normal.
Yeah,
totally.
And when you get to Son of Sparta, it was like, oh, okay, like this is where... If you want that challenge, you can get it.
Yeah,
We've
real
got more
Devil May
difficulties
Cry.
beyond this.
I wonder if they will maybe patch it later to just have that available from the outset.
Hopefully.
Yeah, there is something you can do to get higher difficulties, but it is not necessarily going to be obvious at the gate. But yeah, I do think options are a good thing, and I think you do have to understand that, like, hey, it's okay if somebody wants to do this. Another thing that kind of helps it for me is... there are fights later on where I was like, no, not using a gold orb for this, and you actually get an achievement for making it through a couple of missions without doing that. Which
I
is nice.
used one at the end of the game because I had so many.
Save them for the final
And I was
boss.
just like, whatever, I'll just use one to see what it does. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that could have been handled a little bit more elegantly, but the things that like I cared about the most really came through. And obviously, the
think-
biggest thing that I came away from is just the combat. Like,
Yeah.
the more that I play it, especially on Son of Sparta, it is some of the best combat I've ever experienced in an
very
action
good.
game. Like, it feels like it's taking this step. It's taking everything you've loved about Devil May Cry and amplifying it in really smart ways. Just like styles in Devil May Cry 3 or like the Devil Bringer in Devil May Cry 4, where you're like, this really fits naturally and organically in the things that Devil May Cry already does well. I feel like that happens in Devil May Cry 5. I think the Devil Breakers fit so naturally. I think the new weapons that Dante get fit so naturally. And it just, like, I love when you're playing a game and it's like, wow, they really, like, thought this through. They understand this on such a fundamental level.
How's the sound?
You can appreciate it.
It's good.
Oh, it's good.
I used it a lot.
It's good. I think like every weapon.
I
has a
think
use.
this game nailed what Devil May Cry needed to nail from a fan's like a certain fan base perspective. Like the tone is way more in line with previous DMCs or Devil May Cry's compared to DMC. Like I like DMC, but like people had problems with it. Like the tone and the combat's very different. This kind of like goes back to what people wanted from 4, I would say, and it delivers on it.
Yeah. And I'm also just so glad that they've made an experience that you just want to keep playing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just so fun getting combat.
When you see what happens and you finish it, you're just hungry for more. Yeah. And like the combat is so good that like you could just lock me in a room with nothing but white walls and white ceiling and floor and just enemies, and you'd still have a good time just because you have so many options. And they're awesome. And I do want to talk about the story really quickly. I dug it. It's not perfect. It definitely has some flaws. Right. I think some developments could have been treated with a bit more, not care, but just given it a little bit more room to breathe. But Nico, a new character, I think just fits in so well, man. Yeah. Because in Devil May Cry 4, Nero is going after his love, Kyrie, and he doesn't really have a lot to bounce off of.
Just like Dante, pretty much.
Yeah, and he runs into some...
It's like not even that much.
Really throws you into the game and expects you to know quite a bit. It's just like, all right, there's this, like, everything's established, like the order and the guy.
Yeah,
like,
it is. It is.
What is all this?
And I just think, like... Nico kind of acting as this buddy, kind of acting as this foil to Nero, works so well.
Good contrast to him.
They play off each other in such a way where it's like, oh man, I'm even more endeared to Nero, and this person is really, really funny. And that just kind of keeps happening. The core characters keep interacting, and how they're intertwined, and why they're together, and why they're doing what they're doing. I think ends up being interesting enough that it makes the build-up and the reveals exciting, and I think that's what you want.
Yeah.
Nice. For sure. Brad.
Yes.
You said Big Boy Dante.
Big Boy Dante.
The demons of the Frame Trap realm are already afraid of Dante, and so when you call him Big Boy Dante...
Oh, they know.
They get extra scared. And so that is going to put us into the Frame Trap realm. For those of you who are listening for the first time or you don't know what I'm talking about... this is a show where we talk a lot about what we've been playing, and so it's just kind of a way to kind of break up that conversation, do something a little bit different before we talk about games again. And we're doing something different this time, and I don't want to explain it too much, but what I want you to do, Huber, give me 3 games that you love just that immediately come to mind.
Devil May Cry 1, Resident Evil 2, and God of War 2018.
Okay. Brad, give me 3 games that you love that immediately come to mind.
Final Fantasy 7, Sekiro.
Sekiro saved not yet.
I played it though. I love it. Gotcha. And Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay. All right.
You said that came to mind, dude. I just spit it out.
No, Brad, I love it. I love it. You're fine. That's beautiful, in fact. We're going to do a little Kill Your Babies, taking a page out of Ian Hick's playbook. But the way that we're going to do it is, Huber, you're going to evaluate these games, and you're going to kill one of Brad's darlings, and then he's going to kill one of yours.
Oh, no.
But
spiteful.
But before we do that, just very quickly, it can only be a couple sentences if you want. Explain to me why you like Devil May Cry 1 so much, Huber.
Atmosphere. super, super atmosphere. Spot on. Wouldn't change a single torch location in this game.
Beautiful.
Feels good.
Resident Evil 2. Are we talking remake or OG?
OG.
Okay.
Bioweapons.
I love the short answers. Yeah, that's all.
Justified. Yep. All right. Bioweapons.
Yep.
God of War 2018.
Bonds.
Okay. Like it. Brad, Final Fantasy 7.
Materia system.
Okay. Sekiro.
Prosthetic arm.
Final Fantasy Tactics.
Job system.
Jobs, dude.
Yeah.
Jobs.
You said that the way you say bonds, and so like I'm thinking
Jobs,
about like,
dude.
meaningful jobs. Yeah, which is
Meaningful
true.
Jobs.
Which is true, but all right.
Wait, I'm so hyped for the Tactics remake. So hyped.
What Tactics remake?
It's the one he's gonna will into existence.
We'll get it.
They like kind of did one already.
I was like in the back of my mind. I'm like, I know he's just playing, but I also think that there might be.
We'll get it.
Do it,
Based on the
Square.
way that he's talking.
Tactics will reveal itself again.
Jira, I will be so happy.
It's not.
If it's
not
super high budget Tactics remake, woo!
down. Yes.
Huber, eliminate Final Fantasy VII, Sekiro, or Final
Okay,
Fantasy
no ill
Tactics.
will. Pick one.
Yeah, there's
No ill will.
Just playing a game.
Just playing a game. Just pick one.
Is it the original Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, we're gonna bump that to make way for the remake. Yeah,
No.
that's my logic.
Okay.
We're pushing it aside for now. The
Okay.
remake's coming. You know, you've had your time in the sun, Final Fantasy
You're
VII,
clearing space.
for decades. Let's see what else can happen.
When the Morse
Let it be
cooking.
known from Final Fantasy VII, Sekiro, and Final Fantasy Tactics, the first game
Yeah.
Hubert eliminated in order to make room for the remake, Final Fantasy VII. Brad, eliminate DMC 1, Resident Evil 2, or God of War 2018.
DMC 1. I love DMC 1. I think it's kind of rough though.
Yeah.
Like I love the
It was
environments.
just on my mind.
That's what I love about DMC 1 is the environments, like the puzzle kind of stuff like that. But I think 5's real good.
Okay, so Brad hates Devil May Cry 1.
That's right.
Huber, eliminate Sekiro or Final Fantasy Tactics.
Just do it.
Dude, I gotta eliminate. Why are we doing this?
This is why.
This is torture for you. This is torture.
This is why we're doing
All
this.
right, because I don't want to mess with the Tactics remake or reboot that's coming. I'm going to eliminate Sekiro. It's not even out yet. It's a 10 already. It's going to be a 10.
Just to be 100%
I don't wanna
clear,
mess
we don't
with-
know anything about a Final Fantasy Tactics remake. We have no inside information. Hubert just believes this is happening.
Just willing that. I don't want to mess with the vibes. so-
Huber, I'm gonna tell Miyazaki you hate.
Yeah,
You hate
yeah. Brad will get a chance
I
to
will
interview
tell them.
Miyazaki, and
Yeah,
he'll
like,
like, say,
hey.
"Hey,
From his
I
save.
will point Huber out.
Sekiro
yeah,
is safe.
This guy
Tactics
did it."
Tactics, we need the energy.
I feel
we
like
need the
I
positive
feel like he'd be
vibes.
cool with that for Final
Yeah.
Fantasy
Yeah,
Tactics.
no,
He'd be like, "Oh yeah, I would kill him." All right, Brad, you have to eliminate either OG RE2 or God of War 2018.
I'm gonna kill God of War. I think RE2 is fantastic,
So why?
and
why
I just played
eliminate-
it recently, and it holds the hell up.
Yeah, he did.
So is that the driving force behind the decision? Is how recently you played Resident
And
Evil 2?
it
remake?
holds the hell up. And it's like I can't replace it over the remake because they're so different. Can't do it.
I think,
They coexist.
to be honest with you, I think
Dream
if
is reality.
you have to eliminate 2 things out of 3, and one of those things on the list is Resident Evil, I think Hubert wanted you to leave Resident Evil.
Oh, I know he did,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a pander.
Yeah.
Like I
No, it
love
wasn't.
Resident
No,
Evil 2.
not a pander.
It's so good.
Since that was brutal for both of you, I'm actually gonna have you both break us out of the frame trap realm. But before we get there, this little segment is sponsored by some wonderful people. First of those people is Greg, the Dark Knight Kettering. Thank you, Greg, for your continued support. Next, we have Zoteg, who says, "Hi, allies, with the hype train for Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers pulling out of the station. I wanted to send out an invite to any allies on the Mattias server or greater Aether data center to join our free company or cross-world link shell. Search Zoteg up on Twitter at Zoteg, that is XOTIG, and send him a message. Whether you're just starting out in Eorzea or have been playing for years, let's get ready for Shadowbringers together." Thank you, Zoteg, for your continued support. Next, we have JoJo's Dent Co. Thank you, JoJo's Dent Co. Next, we have Accounts Payable. Thank you, Accounts Payable. And we're still continuing that wonderful Accounts Payable thing where we, and by we, I mean one of you guys, get to shout out anything you want. It could be anything in the world. It could be a concept.
Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Captain Marvel, shout out.
Shout out.
Thank you for your support, Accounts Payable. Next, we have what is so much fun to say. Oh, yes, cool, great. Thank you, oh, yes, cool, great. After that, we have Gift of Heaven, which is a free 3DS RPG, which strives to be as funny as Earthbound, efficient as Chrono Trigger, and as epic as Final Fantasy VI. Gift of Heaven quadruples every data limit of RPG Maker FES, using passwords to unite 4 game files as one bold explosion. OM Hawkstelter is cooking the full blast Tolkien Potter Gump combo meal you deserve to eat. And them Hawkstelters don't skimp on the shrimp. Gift of Heaven's promotional short film, Symphonia Anathema, hits YouTube April 17th. Download the prologue August 7th and Act 1 on Halloween night via the RPG Maker FES 3DS app. Buckle up, Buttercup. Ragnarok cometh.
Sick. Didn't mean to steal your shout out.
Oh,
We
dude.
both got one.
I was just going to shout Goku. Don't worry about it.
Nice, okay.
Goku
Sweet.
and Captain Marvel.
Oh, that team up?
Yep.
Oh, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gift of Heaven. Next, we have Yoltmane, who says, "I have something to admit. I did something horrible. I made an unforgivable mistake that haunts my dreams. I coughed up 60 bones and bought Jump Force. I downloaded it on Steam with a glimmer in my eye and a smile on my face. As the download bar progressed, my joy swelled without the smallest idea of the horror that awaited me. I booted the game, did the character creator, ditched that immediately to get a free fight with some of my favorite characters. I chose my team of Gon, Jotaro, and Yusuke and proceeded. After the longest loading time of my life, it began. The heroes I loved were then standing there looking like rejected Gumby characters, lifeless and dejected. I said, the gameplay can't be horrible, can it? Well, allies, it was. I couldn't even manage a smile with the boisterous string of auras that came from Jotaro. What was wrong with me? Had I gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs? Nope, the game is just horrible. Don't buy. Well, at least Sekiro is soon. As always, check me out on Twitch at Yoltmane, and that is spelled YOLTMAYNE. Love and respect.
I thought the Gaara fight was really cool.
I think watching some of those animations is really neat.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the loading prevented me from wanting to continue and felt like my soul was being evaporated. Sorry. You were just trying to give some positive. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. I just couldn't let it rest.
Boruto's in it. There you go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, Boruto's moveset, though. Could have been better.
Lackluster? Is it just a copy of Naruto's?
Yeah, there's like the Vanishing Rasengan and...
I feel like we just exemplified twice what happens with Jump Force, even when you try to be positive. Yep.
I watched Boruto last night, actually.
Yeah, how was it?
Because I went to go watch Gotham, and it was not on.
Ooh.
So I watched some Boruto.
I was playing Division 2 with Huber. This was like, at 2 in the morning?
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys, yeah.
He's like, hey, you gotta take a 40-minute break for Gotham.
Yeah.
Be right back.
40-minute break.
Wasn't on, so I watched Boruto.
Be right back.
Was it a new Boruto episode?
I'm like 5 or 6 behind, but like a huge filler arc is over, so we're getting into a canon arc, dude. I'm so pumped.
Exciting times to be alive.
Yeah.
No, you're great. Next sponsor is Wolf Wolf Games. With so many values and civil rights at stake, it's essential for us to support organizations that fight to present actionable solutions to hate and sexism. Women's rights are human rights. RAIN is the largest organization in this country dedicated to ending sexual violence. By fundraising or helping to volunteer with the National Sexual Assault Hotline, your contributions will matter. Visit www.rain.org, that is RAINN.org, to learn more. You are the difference. Thank you, Woof Woof Games. And now we have our mega sponsor, River Horse Incorporated.
What?
Our friends over at River Horse can teach you, Brad, the ways of the Now platform. Engage in the 2-day ServiceNow project portfolio management class with River Horse. By doing that, you'll learn all about the setup, configuration, and usage of the PPM suite on ServiceNow. With River Horse, you can learn to master ServiceNow capabilities through hands-on, real-world instructions. As an authorized training partner, our education advisors are able to teach over 12 official classes that span across IT service management, IT business management, and ServiceNow development. But that's not all. They will also be at the Knowledge. River Horse will also be at the Knowledge Conference in Vegas from May 5th to the 9th. River Horse will be teaching in the pre-conference training and hosting events throughout the week. If any allies will be in the attendance, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or email so that you can join us at our company events and get some free swag. Ooh. River Horse is proud to support the Easy Allies and look forward to supporting all allies that work in the IT industry. Look them up at www.river-horse.com, on Twitter at twitter.com/riverhorsetrain, and email them at training@river-horse.com. Thank you so much to our sponsors.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Help keep this crazy show afloat.
Keep the lights on.
There's a game that I've mentioned multiple times on Frame Trap that I have to bring up. It'll be very quick.
Okay.
There are 110 missions in Earth Defense Force 5.
Wait a sec.
110?
Ben.
Yes. Oh, I forgot. Forget Earth Defense Force 5. We got to get out of this frame trap. Because that was a doozy.
The demons were...
That was a doozy.
The demons were sweating there.
The demons almost won against Dante. Big boy.
Yeah.
Please, both of you, use your combined efforts to get us out of the frame trap, and thank you for reminding me.
All right.
Do you got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not going to shout mine.
Is it a co-op attack?
No.
I got a co-op one.
Okay.
But it's sports related.
Okay, I'll play.
It's alley-oop. It's alley-oop.
Oh, you want me to shoot you?
I'll alley-oop to you.
Okay.
Okay.
The ring's on fire right now. It's on fire. We're playing NBA Jam now. What up? Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. That's us.
Yep.
I feel like we
Bulls
should...
versus Celtics.
Yeah, let's go.
What up?
What's up?
Rivalry.
I feel like we should just end the episode. Okay. Thank you, Huber. You saved the day there. I'm glad you didn't let me forget that. NBA Jam. I miss NBA Jam. I miss NBA Jam and I miss NFL Blitz.
I miss NFL Blitz.
I miss NFL Blitz even more than I miss NBA Jam.
I miss Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey.
Oh. I never played Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey.
The fights.
It's so fun, dude.
So fun.
Set that net
is that
on fire.
64?
Hell yeah, it is.
Yeah.
3D
what
hockey
are we doing?
and Wayne Gretzky 98 is on there.
Streams could be better than they are if we just include Wayne Gretzky 3D hockey. But yeah, I'm going to talk about quickly Earth Defense Force 5.
Ooh.
So there are 110 missions in this game.
A lot of missions.
It's a lot of missions, and like you think, like, oh, they're all super short. No, they're not all super short. Some of these missions are bonkers. In this, okay, so Earth Defense Force 5. For those of you who have not heard me ramble on about this before, it's simple. There are aliens, and by aliens I mean giant bugs and frog people and giant gold-plated, gray-skinned aliens. Gray
scales?
No.
Yeah, grayscale?
Grayscale?
Game of Thrones there.
Yes, no. Gray-skinned aliens.
Okay. We got there.
That are, I'm sorry, that is not what I meant. Gray-skinned aliens that are just like assaulting you, and they attack from all sides, and it is like you'll be going, you're like, oh, they're coming. And then all of a sudden, they're just completely surrounding you. Yeah. And it is very, very, very intense. And yeah.
How are the UFOs? Are there UFOs?
There are drones. And so they start out just kind of as circular drones.
Okay.
And then they get There's like wider ones.
Yeah.
And they just completely overwhelm you. And yeah, it is just kind of you clearing through them. Every mission is the same. It's not like there's like, oh, this is a stealth mission. It's like, no, we're just killing all these things. But the build-up, man. So I'm going to spoil Earth Defense Force 5. Just if you care about that.
Spoil away.
Click away. But there's this build-up. So there's this giant Godzilla-like monster that you kind of meet early on, and you can't kill it. It'll shoot lasers. It'll roll. It'll have giant flying fire rocks come out of it.
Sounds awesome.
And you can't kill it. And so a lot of the mission will be like, okay, kill everything else, and then it will retreat and mission complete. And it keeps popping up. But then you realize they're like, hey, there's this giant mech in your base. Go get it, and you can fight this thing. So then you have to do a series of missions of just clearing through the aliens to get to this mech. And then you get in the mech, and finally you have... This mech doesn't have, like, weapons. It just has its fists and its feet. And so the mission that you build up over, like, dozens, like, literally dozens and dozens and dozens of missions, you get in this mech, and you just have this fist fight with Godzilla.
Rad.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing, and I just wanted
Pacific
to be able to...
Rim up in here.
Yeah. And then there's another one where like a bunch of these Godzilla-like monsters attack, and you're on a beach, and so it's like you're storming in, and they end up you like kind of have to avoid these things, and there's so many. It's a ridiculous mission. They will like airdrop the mech in, and then you get in it, and you start punching them, and it's
Nice.
It's really, really fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I've had such a great time with it. I can't believe it. We're going to probably finish it off this weekend, but it's just been such a blast. And it's been great practice for Iron Rain when that comes out next month.
When you finish, will you watch Pacific Rim 2?
I can't make any promises, but that's a good idea. I'll put that idea in the back of my mind.
Because you like the first one, right? Pacific Rim?
Yeah, I loved the first Pacific Rim. Yeah, I loved it so much that I was like, I don't want to watch this again because I don't want there to be a chance that I think less of it in a weird way. It was
one
just like,
holds up.
It was just like such a precious, like, good time.
Nice.
I didn't think too hard about Pacific Rim. Cool. But yeah, really enjoying Earth Defense Force 5. However, like I mentioned last time, like it's kind of bad. There was a moment we were like in the mission and we were doing well, and then all of a sudden we just fell through the geometry. That was it. Like it was just over.
Yeah.
Like we had to just restart the mission.
Yeah,
It
classic.
was like, oh, this game
Was
is
it like
kind of
endless?
busted.
Were you endlessly falling, or did
No,
you like fall
it was
down?
just like it took us and we sunk below the level, and then there was nothing but clouds. So yeah, that was pretty bad. Yeah, it's good. We've been having a fun time, and then you have things like. So you need to kill you like always need to kill everything except if something like retreats, like I said, which is very rare. But you need to kill everything, and sometimes you'll be like, oh, there's this one bug that is stuck all the way on the other side of the map. That's the last thing we have to kill, and so you're just kind of like awkwardly going and killing it. But I think those moments, like, despite it being broken and like looking not good, the thing that has always been great about Earth Defense Force is like there's a heart there, right? Like there's those moments of hype, and I think that's what makes it fun.
I'm pleased it's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. And I'm like really excited for Iron Rain to see how it shake things up for sure. Brad, one last thing that I want to talk about really quickly, and you'll be interested in this. I've been playing a little bit of One Piece World Seeker.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Looking for that treasure.
So this is an open world One Piece game. And you go to this place called Prison Island, and you get separated from the other Straw Hats, and you kind of like reunite with them, but you explore, and there's like collectibles in the world that
Are
you can
there
click
inmates on this island?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
And there, yes.
I like this kind of arc.
Yes. You don't really interact with
Prison
the
of Blood.
inmates so far yet. It's kind of just like I've been going to like different villages on Prison Island. Not a lot of inmate action. Don't want to like mischaracterize that so far.
Yeah, I don't think this is The Rock.
Okay.
Necessarily.
Yeah, it's not like that. See how
Jailbreak.
Prison Island would make you think that.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's cool is Luffy is a rubber man, and so you can extend your arms and zip up to the top of buildings. And definitely very comparable, I would say, to Arkham in a lot of ways, where it's like, okay, I can stealth take down these guys if I want to, so I can zip up and drop behind them and knock them down. You have your armament hockey, so you can do stronger punches and take guys out. And I would say the best part of it is if you care about One Piece and you like these characters, seeing them kind of represented in this world and unlocking new abilities that you know and are exciting to see is very, very cool. The game itself, not remarkable in any way.
Are we swimming in sevens here?
Yeah, 7 is like.
Are we swimming in seven?
I would say I'm at a 6 right now.
Okay,
we're getting close.
Start.
We're close.
Yeah.
For something, if you're like 6s are like almost as good as swimming in 7s, but it's got to be a situation where it's like I'm already attached to the thing.
Yeah.
So if I'm a huge One Piece fan and it's a 6, that's just as good as swimming in 7s.
Yeah. So
maybe.
the way that I would describe it, Huber, is like it feels like it kind of does the open world thing as basic as it could be. Like it really doesn't go crazy with it. There's nothing
Some,
in
like,
there where
radio
you're like, wow, there's
towers or-
wild. It's like it takes the open world and applies it to One Piece. And One Piece is a great thing. So One Piece definitely amplifies it. And you're like, oh yeah, this style is so cool. It's great to see it in this PS4 game. And the environments look pretty good. And the main characters look pretty good. A problem that I have, though, is a lot of the lesser characters really don't feel like they belong in the One Piece world. And so you have these kind of like iconic designs. And then you look at these, like the prominent NPCs look great, look like they belong. The other ones, they're like, did you get pulled from another game? It's like you kind of belong here, but you also kind of don't. And so it ends up feeling a little bit awkward.
Can you sail?
Haven't been able to sail yet. You
So
do,
it's
and
probably
you
just
go
the
and you
island.
see the Thousand Sunny very quickly, and so it's there and you see it and it looks really good, but you're not sailing. So
Damn.
yeah, but yeah, combat is also very, very, very simple so far, where guys just kind of shoot at you or slash at you with swords and you dodge and you attack them, and it's fine. I said it on the stream and I'll say it again. Like I don't really know what this is going to do for you if you're not a One Piece fan, but it seems okay. Not the worst thing that I've played, just very middle of the road.
How's the story? Because Oda's involved?
Yeah, so it's an original story. And that has been another highlight so far.
Excellent.
Where it's like, it's interesting enough. I want to know where it's going to go. And like you run into Smoker and he's like, oh, hey, I let you go at Punk Hazard, but I'm not going to let you get away this time. And so if you're in the know and you are familiar with these stories and what they're saying, it's kind of cool in that sense, seeing them interact and have them kind of be like, okay, this is taking place in the timeline, but it's off doing its own thing. So that's satisfying. It's not like amazing. Like I said, right now you're just kind of trying to figure out what's going on in this island and then reuniting with the Straw Hats, but maybe it gets more interesting as it goes on. But I do appreciate the fact that it is an original story.
Nice.
So that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Keep me posted.
Yeah. Brad, it's like one of those things where I don't know if it's good enough for me to keep playing when I have so much other things that I want to play.
I'm bummed
I'm glad I took a look at it.
Yeah. I'm bummed that the Boruto game was the Shinobi Striker was like a PvP game,
Right.
you know? I wanted
want like a single
that.
player.
Like,
Yeah.
I wanted a
You
Boruto or
want the
Naruto.
story.
Yeah.
You want to feel the world.
Like
That's what we're there
the
for. That's what
Ubisoft
we're
one
about.
way back in the day.
Both of those are so good.
Yeah, Hubert, that's actually a really good point that you bring up, because I feel like when they do adapt these shonen animes, a lot of times it's a fighting game, and that can be great. I love fighting games. Dragon Ball FighterZ is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to see them go in different directions. It's not always a fighting game, but I feel like
like Jump
they
Force
tend to
2s.
kind of feel the same, is what I'm trying to say.
I think there's a Dragon Ball
Depending on the
game
direction.
coming,
What's that?
though. A Dragon Ball
There
game.
is a Dragon Ball game that is coming. You're right about that.
So that could be sick, hopefully.
I know they've done like sort of online games that are not fighting games.
Yeah.
But all I'm trying to say is I appreciate when they do
Try something
something a
different?
little bit different.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's sweet. It's cool. What's way cooler, though, than One Piece World Seeker is the HOTTAKE! And it is kind of tangentially related to something we talked about a lot last time, and that is Anthem.
Oh,
Anthem.
okay.
Anthem. But it is also not really about Anthem.
Oh.
It is about kind of the response surrounding Anthem and how we communicate with each other when we don't like something. So DarrowKaz on Reddit, that's the Reddit name of this BioWare community manager.
Okay.
And they were responding to a post complaining about Anthem. And one of the things that they brought up is they were like, hey, you know, before the game came out, like developers were on here and they were talking to us and they were being really responsive. Why isn't that happening? Like that sucks. We need communication. A lot of the reason people believed in Anthem is because you guys were communicating so well. And this is what DarrowKaz, a BioWare community manager, said. They said, to start, things used to be a lot friendlier here, and on here I mean Reddit, for dev team members who don't normally talk on social channels or forums. They could answer questions, give informations, and know that they aren't going to have people getting upset at them. Why would a dev team member take time away from working on the next update to post when they know it's likely going to be met with hostile replies, or they get flamed because they can't answer other questions that players are asking? I don't mind posting here when things aren't so nice, but that's because it's my job. For the devs, it isn't their job, and I'd like to ask that people remember that when replying to them, when some people say be nice or the devs will stop posting, it's 100% true. Be respectful and constructive with your feedback, and more team members will likely reply. So the reason why I brought that up is it really made me think. And this is true of Fallout 76 as well. I don't like Anthem. I've said that. I've been public about that. But it also worries me sometimes where the hate can get so intense that people just start flying off the rails and they start kind of being rude because they're frustrated. Yeah. And it's a tricky situation because I want people to be able to speak freely. I want people to be able to say, hey, I don't like this. And I want them to be able to be like, hey, I'm a customer. I spent my money on this and I'm angry. I think it's okay to express that anger. But sometimes I worry that we're pushing away solutions, pushing away problems. And I want to know what you guys think about kind of the environments that come out of something being so controversial like Anthem or Fallout 76. How do you feel about those responses and how people are handling them and how publishers and developers are handling them?
I mean, it's pretty tense right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Just with life and the world and everything, it's very tense. And yeah, with games, it sometimes feels like there's not a discussion. It's just one side against the other. Like, you know, I've seen a lot of people sticking up for Anthem. Like, there's a lot of problems, but it's great, you know. And then the other side is just like, worst game ever, give me my money back. It's really hard to find the middle ground. But I don't use Reddit or forums, really. Like, I feel like the best take for me personally is if I tweet about it, and then like with my, you know, circle of followers and stuff, it's like on there. Then sometimes you can have like some discourse or like a conversation about it. Yeah. But if you just go to a Reddit or something, I feel like it is a little more lawless. It can kind of get out of control.
Brad,
and like YouTube comments as well.
Mm-hmm. Brad, do you think if a game is disappointing people or people feel like they weren't being properly communicated with, or in some cases even lied to, do you think the developers have a responsibility to kind of very methodically respond to that criticism?
I mean, how many developers have to respond to this? Like, the community manager usually is the one who does that, right?
Sure.
Like, I don't know how many people need to come out and like address the kind of thing. I think it's like a good thing when people address stuff and they're very honest and upfront with the customer. And I think the customer totally has the right to complain and stuff like that. My motto is I would just try to treat the devs how I would want to be treated. Like, I know like there's a lot of good people out there who treat the devs and like try to go about it civilly and everything like that. It's hard to get tone across on the internet 100% of the time too. Things can seem like kind of iffy when they maybe are not or try not to be. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on like who's the one talking about. Like, I don't necessarily need like the guy who did like the background art on something coming in and talking about it. I think it would have been so like for Fallout 76, I would think it would have been nicer to have like Todd Howard come out and say something. But I don't know how much he needs to say, what he needs to say. Like, he could say, yeah, we screwed up, we know that, we're going to try to work on it. I think that, I don't know if he did or anything like that. I think that can go a long way with like having good faith in people. I think it's important to have that. But I mean, I feel like the community manager's kind of right. He has a point. Like, if you're being really mean to devs, like, not everyone is, of course, but some people who are, like, maybe death threats or just being a total maniac about it, like, they don't want to come back after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and things move so fast, like, nobody is patient anymore. You know?
Right.
Everyone just wants everything immediately now. And, like, the latest controversy I saw was just about the loot drops and how bad they are in Anthem and how everyone wants them to change loot. And BioWare responded. They said, hey, we're not happy with it either. We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
That's just where it is. And it's just, that takes time. That takes so much time. This was a game that was in development for years. I don't know exactly how long, but clearly more than a year, like years plural.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, them reworking their entire loot system is going to take more time. And it's frustrating watching just everyone, like, you know,
Well, it's
when
like-
it's been addressed. It's like, to me, I feel like BioWare has been pretty upfront with this whole situation. They've had a couple patches already. The game's been out a month. Like, they've been on Twitter. They've addressed when the servers are down. They, like, come out and say, you know, hey, we're fixing this. We're working on this. They've talked about the loot. They've talked about changes they want to make. So I think as far as a giant game company goes, addressing the community when the game has problems, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it's been fine.
Yeah, I kind of want to, I guess, focus on the effects of dogpiling because I feel like
Yeah.
with social media, it's sort of about the moment, and sometimes something failing can be the moment where it's like, oh man, this is really bad. Let's talk about it, or I want to talk about it because that is what's being talked about. And I think when you have that, it's really easy to forget that there are people behind these things who are not necessarily like trying to cause you ill will. They just made something and it didn't work out. And I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just it can be hard, but sometimes I also think it's important to remember to how much more productive it can be if you focus on the thing. If you focus on the game, it's like, I don't like the game because of this versus I don't like these people.
Right.
Exactly. And it's like, if you don't like the game, then, like, that's a bummer because you spent $60, you know. There was a thing going around that people were getting refunds. I don't know. I stopped investigating, but there was I don't know if that's confirmed or not. People were trying to get refunds. But, like, if you don't like the game, try to get a refund. But there's this constant, like you were saying, dogpiling where it's just like never good enough.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just what it feels like. And Anthem's in a really tough spot right now because there's so many problems with the game.
Right.
Technically, just content-wise, there's problems across the entire board. So it's at a point where, like, you're either so committed to the game, you're going to stick around, you're going to defend them. But if you don't have the patience or if you don't want to wait around for the problems to be fixed, then get your money back or just be nice.
Right.
You know?
Right. Like,
why are you still harping on it if it's
Yeah.
like you either get your money back or you just move on? You know?
I do agree. I think having kind of a purpose in mind, like, what do you really want? Like,
Exactly.
okay, you're
What's
mad, you were
your end
disappointed.
goal?
Did you get your money back, or did they respond to you, or did they address, like, there should be kind of like an objective in your mind.
Yeah.
I think when it just becomes blind, unfocused hatred,
Yes.
that's when it becomes a real huge problem.
Yeah.
If you're concerned about a game maybe being bad or you don't know, I would wait till it's out. Like, I know we want to buy stuff day one a lot of times and just play it, but if you're really concerned about it, maybe just wait like a day or two. You'll probably get an impression from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brad, I think that's a great point.
Right.
Is
Betas too.
Try to find a reviewer you kind of align with and you see their points that you like maybe
Right.
or something like that and see what they have to say. Or you can go to, there's several like forms of like a review you can investigate, or you can watch a stream. I don't know. Like, I know it's easy to like just buy a game because you're hyped, like, especially nowadays when you can get the game earlier. Like, you can get Anthem on PC earlier like that. People are just hyped to jump in a BioWare game. It's not what they wanted, something like that. But
I definitely
maybe just
think
try to slow down.
I definitely think that's another angle to this whole situation that definitely is adding fuel to the fire, and that's because it's BioWare. So it's because people have an attachment to Mass Effect, to Dragon Age, to this company. I can see that being doubly frustrating.
Absolutely.
You know, when the passion comes out, like, you know, we all get passionate, we all get out of control, but
then we all get disappointed.
Yeah.
I do worry though that like once something has been established as a villain, it's really hard for that thing to break out of that. And that can go the other way too. But what I mean is sometimes like we get so angry at something or something disappoints us so much that we just don't see either the good things it's trying to do or the good things that it's actually done. We only focus on the bad. And I think Anthem is disappointing. I didn't particularly like it, but that doesn't mean that like every single aspect of it is bad or should be written off.
Yeah, it's not even terrible. Like I went through it and I wanted to be doing other things, but it was still fine and it had its moments. You know, it needed more time.
Yeah, I mean, the game wasn't ready.
No.
I think that's a trend on its own of game coming out too early.
Because like a lot of the character stuff I think is really cool. It's my favorite part of the game actually is like
talking to people,
camp and talking to them and like getting their stories. But like so many of them started and then just like didn't. That was like I kept expecting something to happen. It
just fizzled out.
Yeah, like this person went to another faction and was like, "Oh, you two are partnering up now. Like, what's going to happen here? This is going to lead to something," and then like just nothing.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's just
well, I think people are burned because of what we saw of the game originally when it was shown at E3 that one time, and what we got. It's just like way different looking and like what they said. So I feel like a lot of people are burned about that. Yeah.
That's a whole other thing too. Yeah.
So
just the
it could
E3
be a frustrating situation. Yeah.
Sure.
Because then I could see I don't necessarily agree with it because I like to think positively and like I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
But like I can see the argument that BioWare and EA were manipulative by showing that early. Yeah. I can see it. I want to believe that like that was their original vision and it just didn't work out that way.
Right.
But I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a hard thing to feel firm about because on one hand you can be like, yeah, like no, they're not being truthful with us. They're hiding something that they know and they really should be more forthcoming. But I've also heard stories of like, listen, when we showed you that, we thought that was realistic for us at the time, and then as projects evolved, it became less realistic. And I can understand that. I've had projects of my own where I'm like, oh, okay, like that's not going to be possible. Can't do that. And things do evolve over time. Another thing that I want to draw attention to, and it's been said before, but I think it's worth reiterating, is people see more than you think they do. I think sometimes it can be cathartic, just like ranting and raving or getting out there and just having your opinion, and that's valuable and you should have that. But I think it's also important to keep in mind that a lot of these people making games love games and are they're like paying attention to the conversations that are happening because A, they love what they work on, and B, they love games. Like this is their culture. This is what they're connected to, and they probably see more than you think they do. They're probably in more spots than you realize. So
a lot of hurt feelings there.
Do you think there's, and it's a hard question I guess to ask in like the middle of this long podcast, but do you think there are ways that we could improve communication on all sides of this? Instead
of like shit posting, maybe reach out to a developer on the game.
Yeah.
If you have a real question or a concern, you know?
Yeah.
Like seek them out directly instead of just flaming. I don't know. Like if I say like Anthem or something, like find the director on Twitter, send him some messages like at so and so, hey, like question, like if you want your money back, like talk to Sony.
On both sides, I would address the opposite with respect and how you want to be treated. I think you'd go a long way instead of just being a maniac right off the bat. Both ways.
Sure.
Both ways.
Are we ready for some emails?
Yes.
Just be nice to everyone.
Just be nice to everyone. Yeah, I realized that was pretty open-ended, but I think sometimes, it's good to just reflect on how we're just talking to each other.
I like that angle, Ben. I'm really glad you brought that up because
Yeah.
Anthem is a huge thing right now, and that that aspect of it of like, wow, a lot of people are really angry.
Well, and you brought up
this is like hostile anger.
you brought up how quickly we move on from things, and like just life moves so fast.
Something
right?
amazing comes out, and it's like, hey, it's amazing. We love it. We're celebrating it for a minute.
Yeah.
And then Anthem comes out, and everyone hates it, but we're still talking about it. Like, dude, what?
Yeah.
What?
I think it's important to analyze like how, like, not just the things themselves, but how we're kind of dissecting them. And this isn't, when we have these conversations, it's not like us being like, oh, we do it perfectly and follow our example. It's like, no, like we could be way better at this too. And I think just admitting that is good.
We're all doing our best here.
Our first email comes in from Patrick, who asks, what games need a remake? Hi there, allies. I'm super pumped for the recent announcement of Link's Awakening for Switch because I've never played it before. I'm a huge Zelda fan, though admittedly more of the 3D ones than the 2D ones. And I've just finished listening to the Easy Allies podcast where Damiani said, if you like Majora's Mask, you'll love Link's Awakening. Majora's Mask happens to be my favorite game of all time, so I'm pretty excited to play Link's Awakening for the first time, especially with this new update.
It's funny we talked about it.
Being perfectly honest, I'm not sure if I would have gone back and checked out the Game Boy original despite owning it on 3DS and liking other Game Boy games, though I'm sure a lot of people still think the Game Boy game holds up just fine. I remember feeling very similar about A Link to the Past the multiple times I tried to play it. Despite growing up with it, I had a hard time going back to it. However, I loved A Link Between Worlds. In a similar vein, I don't know if I'll ever go back and play Super Metroid. However, if they remade it, I think I would be much more likely to put some time in. So this brings me to my question. If you do your best to remove the nostalgic aspect regarding some of the old games we all grew up with, what games could really benefit from a remake? Inversely, what games are perfect the way they are and can/should be played by modern audiences with just a re-release or remaster?
Remake Resident Evil 3.
Because it needs one?
I love the game as is.
Yes.
That's I'm a little too close, so I
Yeah.
don't really know. Take that as you will. But I really think way more so than Resident Evil 2, a remake would benefit 3. Because 3, you and I were talking about this on Division 2 the other night.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that Resident Evil 3 does, but it doesn't do it the best. Like the choices with Nemesis, they're fine. You could really do something there. Stressing like surviving in Raccoon City, going through places, scavenging for supplies, and just Nemesis itself, just hyping it up, making it better.
Yeah.
Versus like the couple parts where, he busts in and chases you down, like really make it like a Terminator.
I'm going to stick with Zelda. Remake Phantom Hourglass. Just ditch the stylus controller, ditch drawn on the map, just let me sail around Wind Waker style, and let it seem like a true Wind Waker sequel.
Yeah, it's so hard because a lot of the things that I love have already been remade. But I've been playing Final Fantasy IX on my Switch, and I think that game still holds up. But one of the annoying things is like the character models look really good and sharp, but the pre-rendered backgrounds look a little bit blurry. And I've always loved the art direction in that game. I've always thought it was amazing. And if you could get just a huge amount of money and completely rebuild it while retaining that art direction, I think it could be really good.
Would you want them to be kind of like chibi style still? Like big heads and whatnot?
It is how I know those characters, and I think they were kind of designed around that style. And so I guess just knee-jerk reaction is I would want them to keep that style, but I wouldn't immediately dismiss it either if they went in a different direction.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Let's see. Are there other things that we want?
Please remaster.
No, remake.
You could say if it
and remaster.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Please, pretty please, just remaster the PS2 version of Dragon Quest VIII. Thank you very much. Please.
Not this 3DS version.
No.
Keep it the same. Just put it on PS4. Sure.
I'm begging you. I'm begging you out there.
4K, 60.
I feel like, Huber, that's a pretty reasonable ask.
Which reminds me, we never talked about Dragon Quest XI. I beat it. Next time.
Yeah.
Next frame trap.
Sure.
Next time.
Bring it.
Put it on. Well, next frame trap that you're on, remind us
exactly.
to talk about Dragon Quest XI. I think Devil May Cry 1 could be remade pretty well.
Yeah.
I think, just maybe tweaking the controls a little bit, changing the camera a little bit, redoing those environments. I think it could go really, really well.
Yeah.
And reboot / remake, we mentioned earlier, Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, sure.
And,
that could be
and
sick.
Dino Crisis, of course.
It's a question where, so many things have been remade that I have to be like, wait, did they re-release that? Did they remake that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just
we're kind of getting
remade Shadow of the Colossus for no reason. They just did it, and it's
gorgeous.
Real good. Yeah.
Our next email comes in from Gonzalo, who says, "Hey, hello, allies. I wanted to ask, have you ever come upon a game, you like from a genre you commonly dismiss? For example, I don't play Tetris-like games since they usually don't have characters or a story and the like, but one of my favorite games is Pokemon Puzzle League. That game doesn't get shout out too much. I like that game too, which in short mainly adds the graphics and sound bites from the anime on top of an already good game. If you could please explain what elements or decisions that game made you enjoy it over others in the same genre. Thank you. Love and respect."
Brad's going to say Warcraft 3.
No, I have a different one. I do like Warcraft 3, though. I'm going to say Bust-A-Move in
Nice.
the puzzle kind of genre. I don't really like puzzle games that much, like Puzzle Fighter, Tetris, stuff like that, but I love Bust-A-Move.
Yeah.
Just simple,
So
connecting
good.
those colors, baby. Real cute.
So good.
It's a real good time.
I'm going to say Inside is the best puzzle game I've ever played in my life. Hands down. Everything about it. Really good, evolution of puzzles. Didn't get stuck on any one puzzle for too long.
Didn't
really
have
big
that
for me.
hyper intimidation factor.
Yeah, didn't get so frustrated, Some puzzles later on you got to really have to think.
Yeah.
But nothing that was just God, what do I do?
Man, I feel like I like almost every genre, but the two that come to mind that I'm I don't dive into as frequently. Sports I don't dive into at all. I don't really play sports games.
Next show, dude, we're playing full 9 innings, Ben. Get ready.
Nine.
We're streaming.
All right.
Yep.
We're making a lot of commitments here. I like it. Okay. But no, we talked about it, but NFL Blitz is a game I legitimately love. I will play that at any point, and I don't know if that counts.
It counts.
But I
it
dig.
counts.
I dig kind of there was. So I didn't have NBA Jam, but I had College Slam on the Genesis, which was basically NBA Jam but college basketball, and I love that too. It just made me feel ridiculous and awesome. And for racing, I don't play a ton of racing games, but sometimes I feel like they're so good that I at least have to check them out, even if it's only for a bit. And Forza, Forza's so good. I'm such a racing car scrub, but Forza's so much fun to play.
Nice.
So I feel like I have to call that out.
Heck yeah. Horizon.
Full 9 innings, the show.
Full 9 innings.
I'm a little scared, man.
ready.
Should be.
I'm not a baseball guy.
Dude, you're gonna be so into it. You're gonna be
That's
relaxed.
probably.
You're gonna love it.
Hubert,
I guarantee you, Ben, you will love it.
Hubert, I feel like you could say if you're being the Sherpa, I'm sure I will love it just fine.
Dude, have you played any show? Any MLB?
You made me do the
Home Run
Run Derby. Yeah, that was it.
Dude, the pitching, man, you're gonna love it.
I had MLB 98 on the PS1 as a kid.
Sick.
Nice.
Played that
Nice.
a pretty good amount. Yeah.
Dude, Vince Scully.
All right. Our last question comes in from Baroon. He says, friends and how they change games you play. Kind of relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben and Allies. One day in 2008, whilst I was in school, me and my best friend were just talking about games. My friend tells me that I need to play this game called BioShock. I just went, yeah, sure, I'll check it out one day. I did, and the game looked so strange to me, so I decided that I probably wouldn't have liked it. Never really liked horror. It looked like straight horror to me then. A few weeks passed since the conversation. My friend comes in and brings his own copy of the game and hands it to me. He was very adamant that I would like this game, and he would make sure I would at least try it. So then I tried it, and I was hooked from the very first words you hear from Andrew Ryan to the very end of the game. I just fell in love with this game and became much more open-minded to other different games because of it. It really just changed my perspective on gaming as a whole. I became so much more open-minded to different games and genres that I hadn't considered before. I even bought my own copy of BioShock. Have you had any experiences where you were apprehensive to try something, but your friend pushed you through that phase and you ended up loving said thing?
I love all genres. It's really boring, but honestly, like, I've never been adverse to trying any game. Like, I'll give anything
But
a
has,
shot.
has a friend pushed you over the edge? You guys push me over the edge all the time.
I mean, you guys tell me to play things like more JRPGs and stuff, but I like, even without
I love
you,
that. That's
you
how
know?
you say that, yeah.
Like Tales of Symphonia, I just like bought, and like Final Fantasy growing up, I bought. So like, it's hard to think.
I think I played The Witcher because of you. Nice. I think you're telling me to play that. I mean, I like RPGs and stuff, but I don't think I would have. Yeah, I don't think I really would have played it because it was PC only at the time. I didn't really have a PC till later.
Good graphics.
At the time.
I feel like you get me especially hyped about movies too. A good example that jumps up is I don't know if I would have watched John Wick without you, and I wouldn't have watched Dredd without you. And like both of those movies are very near and dear to my heart because they're so good. But yeah, you guys definitely influence what I play all the time.
Yeah, you guys with anime.
Sure.
My Hero. It's like
My
number
Hero.
one thing I got to get through.
Yeah. I think, Huber, with you, with shows, it's hard just because, like, and I don't mean that as an insult.
everything.
Yeah, because you watch everything, it's like, I don't know, I can't. Yeah.
So many shows.
But when you were younger, I guess, outside of Easy Allies, was there ever an experience? It doesn't have to, let's take this outside of games. Was there, like, an experience that you had that they pushed you into?
I was always kind of the one, because I like subscribed.
That makes sense.
Because I subscribed to so many magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So friends at school and stuff, I would just kind of be the one that would bring up random said game. I remember getting like Katamari Damashi like when it came out, you know, and being like, hey, check this one out.
Yeah.
Or like God of War, same thing.
Movie-wise, you didn't like Lord of the Rings at first.
Did not like Lord of the Rings.
Then you
did
came
not
How?
like exactly
Then you came around
because
on
I
it.
didn't know it. I didn't know it. I didn't read it growing up,
Yeah.
and then just like
It's
didn't
just like everything I
understand it.
know about you
I know.
is, like, because you love it.
The things that I dislike or don't really know about, I end up loving the most.
Yeah.
So like Harry Potter, didn't get into it until like Order of the Phoenix, and like felt out of the loop, and I was a young bratty teenager, so I was just like, yeah, no, it's not for me. Like whatever,
Yeah.
because I just didn't know. But then,
Man,
Hufflepuff.
you talk about being a bratty teenager. When I was like in 5th grade, I think, like Pokemon was so cool and awesome, and I loved it dearly. I would wake up before school to watch Pokemon. My friends roll into it. I loved it. We played it all the time. And then suddenly just like sharply wasn't cool anymore. But I still loved it, but I felt like I couldn't anymore. I felt like I wasn't supposed to, and so I sold all my Game Boy games, like, and I still regret that to this day.
Dang.
Yeah,
I wish
dude.
I had those.
Yeah, I wish I
original
had some
cards.
of my old games.
Selling all my old magazines and throwing them out. That one hurts.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Big time.
my mom was like,
Yeah.
not trying to slam on my mom.
No, but
like,
they want to clear out
They
space.
do. They just want to clear out space. And
For
she would
sure.
do it all the time. She'd
Yeah.
be like, you're not going to read these
We gotta
magazines.
clear
And it's
out.
like, I do look at those magazines. Don't get rid of them. Yeah, I had to get rid of a
And
lot of gaming
then-
magazines. Yeah.
And they know us.
Yeah.
Our moms know us.
Yeah.
So when do they ask us these questions? When we're gaming.
Yeah.
When we're distracted.
When I'm doing something, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That's
not
the
true for
time.
me. They didn't.
Okay.
They didn't necessarily.
Mom
ask-
knows you
yeah.
that when she wants like.
And you're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's throw it away. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're not really paying attention. You're just like, yeah.
Yeah. I don't need them.
Yeah.
In high school, a friend was interested in hockey, and I like ended up doing like playing hockey with him. Not
Oh,
like in a
cool.
league or anything. It was just kind of like
Cool.
it's hard to describe what it was, but it was like messing around with hockey, like learning how to skate and stuff, and kind of getting familiar with it. And it was
Yeah.
really
My brother
fun.
got me into like skateboarding and. Like Jonathan got me into Jiv got me into Pokemon
Oh, he did?
Pokemon cards.
Dude,
'Cause he had
Hubert,
so many cards,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater made me upset for a period of time. I was obsessed with skateboarding. I wanted to become a professional skateboarder. I bought a skateboard. I went to the skate park. I was not good, but like I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
everything about skateboarding. So
Fun
I wish I still did. I still think
Yeah.
skateboarding is super rad.
Yeah,
It is.
my brother was very good.
Was he?
Yes,
Seems like I'm like,
How good?
very good.
Like, what was the coolest trick you could do?
Could have been sponsored. That's what I mean.
professional.
But
Whoa.
not like by Birdhouse or something like that, but like a skate store would have totally sponsored him or stuff.
That's Brad.
There's
Local
videos
shop.
somewhere at our house of my brother.
Do we need those vids?
Yeah, that's
We
awesome.
need those.
Yeah, my brother was way more risky than me, I would say. He would do more risky things because I would see him do stuff and get hurt, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm good. I always learned from seeing my brother do stuff.
Gotcha.
So wait, does this count towards the question? Because
This is evolving
Okay.
as we're talking about it.
you guys liking something will make me like it even more.
Yeah.
So it's like
I think
the co-op
that's in the
effect.
spirit of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Plessis effect.
Yes. So like I don't know how that's 100 games with Brad growing up. You know what I mean? Just like his love for it too. It just makes it even better.
Yeah,
Makes it
easier.
sweeter.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how to describe this, Hubert, because even before I met you, I loved Resident Evil. But I feel like you intensified that level to a way that couldn't have been possible
Oh, yeah.
in any other circumstance.
Same.
I loved Resident Evil 4 and Remake and the classic games. But it was like, with you, there was like it was constant in a way that it wasn't before. Like Resident Evil would fade in and out of my life, but now I feel like
Jones
Resident
is
Evil
always
is here to
talking about
stay.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with this
In a
group.
good
always
way.
present.
In a good way. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of things are here to stay with this group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some things will just never leave.
It's just in the air.
Yeah. It's just there.
I think Sekiro is going to do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited for Bloodworth to parry. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, blood opinions
Some blood
on parries
parries.
is always funny.
Yeah.
I
it's the
would love.
best. Just like
I want like
Parry Master
I want
Blood.
Smug Blood in Overdrive, where like we show up to a group stream and we're playing a game and like nobody knows that Bloodworth has played it.
Yeah.
Like let's say
He's
I
just
would love it for it to be a
owns.
fighting game.
Yeah.
And he just gets like perfects the whole night. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Like you think you're far in Sekiro, and Blood is just like, oh, I'm like 4 bosses past that.
He's like you're playing, he's like, oh, go over there, there's a secret.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what?
Could happen. Well, thank you so much for the fun frame trap, Michael Huber and Bradley Ellis. Fun talking to you guys about games. If you want to email in the show and have us kind of answer your question, email askeasyallies@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. And one more time, thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors. We got quite a few. And yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another frame trap. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.